President Davis, the live stream is now in progress. You may start the meeting.
Good evening. Trustees, the time is now 5:32. Please stand by while the staff starts the live stream. Ready? Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the October 15th regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session. The time is 5:33 p.m. Mrs. Hayes, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Castellanos will be absent this evening. Trustee Pritchard.
Present.
Trustee Zollinger.
Here.
Trustee Adnams.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Bullicus.
Here.
Trustee Davis.
Here. May I please have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Zollinger and seconded by Trustee Bullicus. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards regarding the adoption of the agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. Hey, all those in favor of adopting the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries 6-0-1 to adopt the agenda. Mrs. Hayes, before the board recesses to closed session, is there anyone who'd like to speak to a closed session agenda item?
There are none.
Thank you. The board will now recess to closed session to address the following agenda items. Student expulsion, 1 case. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 2 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 1 case. Conference with labor negotiators, CUEA, CSEA, Teamsters, CUMA, and unrepresented employees. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 2 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 3 cases. Public employee dismissal, discipline release. This item has been pulled by staff. Public employment and evaluation of performance. The board will now recess to closed session.
The live stream is now in progress. President Davis, you may start the meeting.
Thank you. Trustees, the time is now 7:05. Welcome to the October 15th regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session. The time is 7:05 p.m. Mrs. Hayes, please call the roll.
Student Board Member Hanson.
Present.
Trustee Castellanos will be absent this evening. Trustee Pritchard.
Present.
Trustee Zollinger.
Here.
Trustee Adnams.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Bullicus.
Here.
Trustee Davis.
Here. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Trustee Hanson. Thank you.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mrs. Hayes, please read the report from closed session.
On agenda item 4A, student expulsion, trustees voted 6-0-1 to approve staff recommendation on the following case. Case number 2026001. On agenda item 4B, anticipated litigation, trustees gave direction to staff. On agenda item 4C, existing litigation, trustees voted 6-0-1 for staff to give direction to legal counsel. On agenda item 4D, conference with labor negotiators, no reportable action. On agenda item 4E, anticipated litigation, trustees voted 6-0-1 to approve staff recommendations on the following ADR cases. Case number 2025-1001, case number 2025-1003. On agenda item 4F, existing litigation, trustees voted 601 to approve staff recommendation on the following cases. OAH case numbers 2025-04-0123, 2025-04-1209, and case number 2025-06-0446. On agenda item 4G, this item was pulled by staff. On agenda item 4H, no reportable action. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Now we ask that you turn your attention to our presentation screens as we have a short video to share on CUSD's partnership with the California State University System.
There's some exciting news coming from Capistrano Unified. CUSD has officially partnered with the California State University System to bring direct admissions to our seniors this fall. So what exactly is direct admissions? It's when a college offers admission to a student before they even apply. If a student meets certain academic standards, they'll receive an offer and can decide if they want to move forward with the next steps. Here's what to expect. In late October or early November, seniors will receive one of 3 flyers directly from the CSU system. If a student is on track to complete A through G requirements and has at least a 2.5 GPA, they'll get a flyer congratulating them because they've been conditionally admitted to one of the 16 non-impacted CSU campuses. Flyer 2 is for a student who's close to meeting the A through G requirements and has that same 2.5 GPA. They'll receive a flyer encouraging them to connect with their high school counselor to see if they're interested in applying. Flyer 3 is for any student who is not meeting the A through G requirements or is below a 2.0 GPA. They're going to get information about the Transfer Success Pathway, a great option that starts at a community college and leads to CSU transfer later on. Now, even students who are directly admitted will still need to launch their application through californiacolleges.edu or CCGI. That connects their information directly to Cal State Apply, the CSU application system. Also, don't forget that there may be application fees that go along to each of the CSU campuses that you may apply to. A quick reminder, there are 6 impacted CSU campuses: San Diego State, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal State Fullerton, San Jose State, and CSU Long Beach. Some majors at other campuses may also be impacted, so be sure to check in with your college and career counselor if you have any questions. And finally, mark your calendars. The financial aid priority deadline is March 2nd. Make sure your senior submits their financial aid application before then. We're thrilled for our students to have this new opportunity and can't wait to celebrate all their next steps. For more information or if you have any questions, please check with the College and Career Counselor, Futurology, at your school site.
Thank you. This is great. I mean, I love this, and we are going to send this out to all seniors, and it will be a flyer will go out to all seniors, and it will be available on social media and other ways. And I think staff will be working on making sure that everyone gets it. One possibility, it's a 2.5-minute video. Maybe every English class could show this video to give a little bit of the information that's happening. I'm sure you've got a good plan on what'll happen there. Thank you. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Chris Brown, who will present his opening comments, followed by the trustees.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the October 2025 meeting of the Board of Trustees. Just in reference to the video you just watched about the CSU direct admissions for CUSD, that's going to be rolling out over the next few weeks. Our coordinator for college and career guidance, Erica Gardner, who you saw in the video, she's here, so congratulate her. Let me tell you how hard it is to sit there and read into a video. And she's been instrumental in this work. So district communications will go out to families. You saw that was filmed in like a vertical orientation, fit for social media, right? So good job for the communications team in making it ready to digest in the way that our seniors actually digest information nowadays. And obviously they'll get the flyer. The direct admissions is not offered to every district across the state. In fact, it was piloted in Riverside County last year. We joined the pilot this year. There's not very many districts that are doing it. It will go statewide next school year. So our CUSD kids sort of have a leg up on everybody, and they get to jump in early with the direct admissions process for the Cal State University schools. So I wanted to start with that. I also wanted to address concerns I've received. I've been receiving a number of emails and phone calls from parents about Assembly Bill 495 that was signed by Governor Newsom. And I want to just take a moment to say that the bill that ended up on the governor's desk was very different from the original text. It went through many amendments and many changes before it passed the state legislature. And I want to be clear, the bill that was signed does not require us to make any changes to our district processes for securing parent consent or approving an appropriate caregiver to enroll a student in school. Our current procedures will remain in place and ensure that only authorized individuals can make decisions regarding a student's enrollment or school-related medical care. As a reminder, state law still requires that changes in a parent's legal custody or guardianship require a decision from a court of law, which preserves their legal rights as parents. Additionally, this bill does not make any changes to who can be a child's caregiver, legal custodian, guardian, or parent without a court order. So we're here to support your students and families, and we're committed to that work and committed to working with the state as they work through these types of bills. Tonight, I also want to personally invite you to our upcoming workshops and evening forums. Tomorrow night, right here in our boardroom, will be the second parent workshop of the year. I think we're already well over 50 signups at last count, maybe even 60. And it'll be from phonics to fluency. And hopefully you received an email reminder today. We will live stream and record the presentation, so if you unfortunately can't be here, you could of course jump on YouTube, watch this board meeting again, and then watch that live stream or that presentation. I know you'll be riveted. But if you attend in person, you'll receive a book for your preschool, TK, first or second grade student that you can take home and be using to support good reading habits outside of the classroom. And really our goal tomorrow night is to explain the science of reading, how we evaluate reading progress and difficulties, what learning interventions are available, and provide guidance to parents so that they understand why it's so critical their child learn to read and why it's so important to their social and emotional success and their academic future. Once you've done that and you want more information, next Tuesday at 6 p.m., October 21st, we'll be having the first Superintendent's Parents Evening Forum of the year at Ladera Ranch Middle School. I'll be there. I'll share a little bit about district budget and state budget and why we have the situations we have. I talk about our long-term goals, but mostly, just like a coffee chat, it becomes a Q&A. So people can ask whatever questions they have about the district, provide input on things they want to provide. So that'll be next Tuesday night, October 21st, 6 p.m. At Ladera Ranch Middle School. And don't worry if you can't make it all the way out to Ladera. I will be doing more evening forums throughout the year at different sites. So we'll cover the entire district if you want to come out and spend an evening with me. Professionally. So that ends my report for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Just on that note and attending, I'm hoping we have 500 families that are able to attend tomorrow night, and hopefully all the information's out there. Okay, he doesn't want 500.
I don't know if 500 fit in the room. But.
I do. And, but I mean, the information and the data on students reading, being proficient readers by the end of third grade is staggering. Third grade reading proficiency is a critical benchmark marking the transition from learning to read to then transitioning to reading to learn. And the data from the national assessments, like the National Assessment of Educational Progress, often called the nation's report card, shows persistent challenges exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's really important that this is one of our focuses and is one of our goals, is to make sure students have all the support so that they will become proficient readers by the end of third grade. So thank you for that. Trustees. Trustee Adams?
All right. I have a couple of schools in Area 1 that I want to highlight tonight. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Palisades Elementary School. I am so excited. We have a new principal, Yesenia Hogenkamp, who's doing an amazing job over there. I've visited many times, and parents are thrilled. It just feels like new life, new breath over there. Parents have come up to me on the side like, thank you for giving us Mrs. Hogenkamp. She's amazing. There's new enthusiasm. The community is growing. So great job, Mrs. Hogenkamp, and to her team and her teachers. Great start to the year, and I'm excited for what's going to come from Palisades. Another school that I enjoyed visiting was Shorecliff's Middle School. I went to their back to school night and it was amazing. Principal Josh Wellickson and Assistant Principal Stephanie, right? I'm saying that right? Okay. Bartlett, sorry, Stephanie, were amazing. They took me on a tour. I think I went into every classroom. And I saw brand new teachers that are so excited, so energetic, thrilled, doing great things. And then I saw a few 30-plus year teachers that are killing it and like still energetic, still coming up with new ideas, still passionate about what they're doing. And as we were walking around, it was awesome. We had several parents come up. They didn't know who I was, I don't think. And they just thanked Josh and Stephanie, thank you so much. I love every one of my teachers this year, every one of my students' teachers this year. Another family came up and said, thank you so much for addressing my students' individual needs. The year is so much better. And then, what was the other one? Oh, yeah, I love every single teacher. So Josh at the end of it said, okay, I'll pay all of them later, because they came up and said that in front of a trustee. So just a huge shout out to Josh and Stephanie, Yesenia, and Barry Fitzgerald over at Palisades. Great things happening at both of those schools, so keep your eyes open and keep a watch on those two schools. They're awesome. Okay, and then the other thing I want to talk about is our amazing STEPS program at Dana Hills High School. I talked about this months ago because they made me a shirt with my name on it and my school's on the back, but they took it even further this time and they made one for every single board member and I think for superintendent. And so we are wearing them, or we brought them. And yes, here we are. And the cool thing is every single one of ours is different because we all have our own schools on the back. So. And I believe we have a video that highlights this amazing program. I wanted to just talk about it briefly for those that don't know. STEPS is Structured Teaching, Educating Prepared Students. And at Dana Hills High School, we have a Spider Lab. It's a work-based school program that prepares our next generation of entrepreneurs and graphic leaders through student-run business. This all started when the Dana Hills STEPS program partnered with CCA, College Career Advantage, and also with the support of the Workability program to start a t-shirt business. They started small with a direct-to-garment t-shirt printer on loan from CCA, and after a successful year, they acquired a new DTG printer and heat presses through a CUSD medical grant written by the Occupational Therapy Department. There was also a generous donation made by the late Jake Schwartzberg, a beloved teacher and volunteer at Dana Hills High School. There's also been lots of community donations, businesses in Dana Point that have donated. And so now we have this amazing Spider Lab at Dana Hills High School. So we're gonna just show you a quick video that highlights it. Nope.
CUSD has officially partnered with the California State.
Okay, hi. So what is your name?
My name is Daniel.
Daniel, awesome. And what grade are you in?
11.
Amazing. And how long have you been working on this with the Spider Lab?
Only like a few weeks.
Just this year?
Yeah,
Yeah, so what is your favorite thing about the Spider Lab?
making t-shirts.
Amazing. What's the best shirt? What's the most fun shirt you've made so far?
Well, one with my Vans logo on it, so yeah,
Nice, nice. And how many shirts do you think you've made?
only 2.
Okay. And you were part of the group that helped make the shirts for the
Yes.
board members, right?
Yeah,
Amazing. How fun was that?
awesome.
Cool. Well, are you excited about making more shirts in the future?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Daniel.
welcome.
See you later.
For computer stuff, do you remember how to print?
Can you show me? Tom, show me how you print.
Yeah, use that.
Print. Nice.
Yes. something there. Put in COSD.
Fab.
There it is. Can you show me what to do, Noah? Nice work, buddy. Noah, what grade are you in?
17.
You're 17 years old. Are you a junior or are you a senior? Senior! Nice job, Noah. Good work, bud. Thumbs up.
Trustee Pritchard's shirt for me, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Twist it. Do you feel the green? Now hit return. Good job, Anya. Let's get in there.
So I want to give a personal shout out on behalf of the board. I think I can speak for the board in thanking these students: Adrian Sanchez, Dominic Corral, Ilya Motashim, Noah Roberts, Anya Hunt, Daniel Kangas, Joseph Sanchez Permudas, Julian Pianet, and Nolan Moore, and also the Spider Lab mentor, Alice. Thank you guys so much. We love our shirts.
Before we move on, let's go ahead and take a little trustee picture with these. Thank you. Thank you to the STEPS program. Thank you for our great shirts. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Adams. Other trustees? Trustee Wilkus?
Good evening. I want to start my comments this evening with a long overdue apology. On March 12th, I spoke words that were very hurtful to students, to families, and to the community at large when discussing the book, James for Approval. I learned the hard way. It's not necessary to say the words out loud, which in this case were offensive, and in doing so, I hurt the very people I serve. I also was reminded that one can do a lot of good, but the good does not override when one does something wrong or hurtful. And I should have acknowledged and taken responsibility for my mistake in this room long ago. I've reflected on how Ms. Torres did an excellent job in presenting the book and in sharing how to open interactive dialogue with students about difficult subjects without mentioning the dehumanizing words out loud. Again, I am deeply sorry and regretful for my blunder in not apologizing sooner. I want you to know that being a good example to children is very important to me. Thank you for listening. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Trustee Wilkus. Other comments? Trustee Jones? Oh, Trustee Jones, go ahead.
You can go ahead. Okay. I want to make a comment about public comments at public meetings, such as CUSD board meetings. These are governed by the First Amendment. Recently, some members of the audience have commented that the board has not objected to public comments that are offensive. As I see it, under the First Amendment, we can't object to some ideas and not others. Public comment time isn't our time, it's the public's First Amendment time. We listen, but I don't see refereeing public comments, however offensive, as part of our role. I personally believe that some of those who make offensive comments do so to test our adherence to the First Amendment. So I have some other things I wanted to talk about. Each year, trustees and members of the CUSD management team have the opportunity to job shadow someone from our classified union, which is the union representing custodians, food service personnel, basically anybody who isn't a teacher or a manager. Last month, I was matched to job shadow Bonnie Baramcole, I think that's how she says her name, who's a para-educator 5 at Palisades Elementary. Para 5s collaborate with both gen ed and special ed teachers on behavior support and PBIS issues, help implement accommodation and intervention plans, are involved in the training of teachers and other para-educators to use various tools and supports for students. Bonnie and our other para-educators do important work for students, and if Bonnie is any indicator, they work very hard and love what they do. I also want to tell you I was exhausted after spending a couple hours with her. So last week was National School Lunch Week, and Trustee Adams and I, along with Laguna Niguel Councilwoman Stephanie Winstead and San Juan Councilman John Campbell and several other CUSD staff members enjoyed a teriyaki pork tonkatsu sandwich, butter chicken with naan bread, Filipino chicken adobo, chicken enchiladas, and Swedish meatballs. They had me at butter chicken, but it was all very good. This Friday, I'm looking forward to being principal for a day at Laguna Niguel Elementary, which is also really educational. We call it principal for a day, but it's really just another job shadowing, just in case anyone is frightened about me being a principal in this school district. I want to make a quick announcement. We were, or at least I was asked to spread the word about the Orange County Clerk Recorder's pop-up, I think it's pronounced apostille shop, October 23rd. If you don't know what that is, I think has to do with getting signatures certified for some sort of overseas use. And it's a little bit like notary for international basis. If you want to know more about it and you didn't understand, you didn't catch what I said, just email me and I'll send you what I've got. I have some comments regarding an announcement about a change in the U.S. Department of Education, but I'm going to save that for the CAC report discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Zollinger?
Thank you. Well, welcome. I actually was also going to comment on public comments, so I loved how you set the stage for that. The first time I came to a board meeting, I remember watching it and feeling really awkward about it because people were standing up and saying things that they were very passionate about. Some of them were emotional, some people were angry, some people were just recognizing their teachers and their schools, and it was just a nice comment, but the trustees didn't say a word. And I thought, well, that's weird. Who do we have representing us? They're not saying a word. I didn't realize that there was board policy that we couldn't comment. And it's probably really, really good. Our meetings would go maybe till like 3 or 4 in the morning if we could, because there's times I want to jump up and give a member of the public a big hug and just tell them I'm so sorry, you know, or I want to celebrate with them, or sometimes I wish I had a hook and I can pull someone away. And that's when people are saying mean, hurtful things about people I love and care about. And unfortunately, we can't do any of those things. And I just was glad that you brought that up, because as I learned more about the policies, watching board meetings, it became very clear that the comments were not allowed. So I just want you to know that when you go home and you think, I can't believe that they were silent on that topic, we're not. We are following up with staff. We're asking questions. We do care a lot. So that's not the case. I also just wanted to talk about, actually, school lunch week was awesome last week. Some of the other trustees, I went with Trustee Bullicus and Trustee Davis and our student trustee, which was so fun to have her there as well. And we got to sample school lunches. But beyond that, we got to tour the facility. And at the end, I said, can we please have students do this? Because it's remarkable what goes into the production of our school lunches. And it's not just the production, it's also the heart that goes into it. Kristen Heilman, is that how you say her? Hillman, is the director. She's phenomenal. And you can feel how much she cares. And it's not just, she's not just ordering any food, she's ordering food locally sourced, cares about where it comes from, who's growing it, she's working with a lot of smaller farms, so she says she might need one produce product and might work with several small farms that can bring it in to our schools. We walked into massive refrigerators and freezers. They all felt like freezers to me, but they were, my question was, I'm kind of thinking, well, how long is this food sitting in here? Because they were packed with food, and I was shocked to hear the answer that those deliveries come in the morning and they package that food for the next day, and then in the next morning, a whole new delivery comes. But just the scale of it was remarkable, and the heart. I mean, we had one of our main district chef who is using her grandma's recipe. It was so sweet, her chicken recipe. And I just kept thinking, do the students know? So at the end, they did say that they are going to start, they're hoping to have some field trips there so that kids can see. Because I think school lunches get a really bad rap. In fact, even when I was campaigning for this position, I had some students come to me and say, well, if I could vote, I would vote for you if you promised you'd fix the school lunches. Turns out they are remarkable. I want to reach out to those same kids and say, come with me. Come see what the school lunches are. It's fantastic. And just like everything else at CUSD, there was a lot of heart there, a lot of care in providing healthy and delicious lunches for our kids. I also had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to attend the college fair at San Juan Hills High School. And that was remarkable. I had heard that it used to take place at, I think, Capo Valley High School, and it was too small. San Juan has 2 gyms, and that shows the just the amount of colleges we have reaching out to our students here at CUSD, that we had to move it to a larger facility. There was so much great information. I brought my daughter with me, who's a sophomore, and I thought maybe she was a little too young, but I don't think she was. I think it was fun for her to hear about some of these universities throughout the country, and there really were. Our first stop was a university in New York, and there were representatives from all over the country from different universities, and they were talking about the specialties that their university has in different areas of study, and it was fascinating. And I love that our district hosts this, and I look forward to seeing how it grows in the future. I also will be going to San Juan Hills. Usually I talk about the plays after I go to them, or musicals, but this weekend San Juan Hills has Rumors written by Neil Simon, and I'm excited to go to that this weekend, and I believe there's still tickets available. So if you're looking for a fun night this weekend, I suggest you do that. And I will also be doing Principal for the Day at San Juan Hills, and I'm glad you cleared that up, Gila. I don't think anyone wants me to be their principal either, but it is going to be a lot of fun to see how the school runs. I mean, it's a tremendous job these principals have, and it will be fun to see the staff working. So I look forward to that, and that is the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And as president of the Capistrano Unified School District, the largest school district in Orange County and the 10th largest school district in the state of California, I've always prioritized representing the families here in CUSD, promote transparency, fairness, and putting all our students first, always. Today I want to speak out against Proposition 50, not as a partisan issue, but as a matter of upholding the democratic principles that ensure every voice in our diverse communities is heard equally. This measure threatens the integrity of our elections and, by extension, the stable funding and representation our schools rely on. Let me explain why we must urge our community to vote no on Proposition 50. It undermines California's gold standard for fair redistricting. In 2008 and 2010, California voters wisely took redistricting out of the politicians' hands and gave it to an independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. This bipartisan system has been hailed as a national model, preventing gerrymandering and ensuring districts reflect real communities, not political ambitions. Prop 50 would scrap these maps mid-cycle for one drawn by a one-party, the Democratic legislator, effectively overriding voter-approved reforms. The commission drew the current maps based on the 2020 census, used since 2022 to perform fair representation. Opponents, including former redistricting commissioners, argue this sets a dangerous precedent for politicians to redraw lines whenever it suits them. Even the League of Women Voters, who championed the independent system, initially opposed this move before shifting to neutral, highlighting the risk to nonpartisan integrity. With California facing a $20 billion budget deficit that's already forcing cuts, as we know, to public safety and education, why are we spending over $282 million on a special election for this? That's money we could use to fund more teachers, smaller class sizes, or mental health support for our students. Prop 50's implementation would add millions more in county costs for new voting materials, resources, better spent in our classrooms. The special election alone is projected at $282.6 million, with additional errors in voter guides potentially adding another $2 million. The total cost to exceed $200 million amid fiscal shortfalls hitting education priorities. Our LCFF, the local control funding formula, was created to give a local voice in areas they serve, the local voice in decisions to make the community better. It is the complete opposite of what Prop 50 is trying to do. Proponents claim Prop 50 counters gerrymandering in Texas or threats from the Trump administration. But California shouldn't lower our standards to match bad actors elsewhere. If we believe in fair elections, let's lead by example. not escalate a national redistricting war that erodes trust in democracy. Our students learn about integrity in civics class. Let's model it here. While framed as a response to Texas's 2025 redistricting, opponents argue it's ineffective against federal outreach and sacrifices Californians' integrity. Gerrymandering anywhere weakens democracy nationwide. Even neutral groups like Common Cause warn against preemptive mid-decade changes. Prop 50 maps would split long-standing communities, putting rural areas into urban districts and diluting local voices on issues like school funding and agricultural impacts on education. For our public schools, this means less targeted advocacy in Congress for Title I funds or special education, potentially hurting the very students we serve. The new maps under Prop 50 would shift 12 districts to become even more one-sided. Based on the 2024 presidential results, this isn't about balance, it's about protecting incumbents and diluting opposition votes and voices, including those of rural and minority communities who might lose cohesive representation. As school leaders, we know how important it is for district to reflect our school's diverse needs. Gerrymandered lines fracture that. The analysis shows the proposed maps lean one way, more than the commissioners, potentially flipping competitive seats and splitting communities like those in Central Valley against local leaders' wishes. The critics, including Republican and some Democrat voices, like Assemblymember Baines, call it a power grab that circumvents transparency and citizen input. The Independent Commission is now wanting to operate in the dark of night in Sacramento, clearly not wanting to represent our families and CUSD. Voting no on Prop 50 protects the fair, independent process we've built, one that ensures our elections and by extension our schools serve all Californians, not just the powerful. I urge our board to stand up for our families and oppose this measure and encourage every family in our district to do the same. Our children's future depends on elections we can trust. Moving on to something much more fun. So last week, I also was able to attend the tour at the Central Kitchen and for regard to our school lunch week, and loved that opportunity to be there. And I just wanted to add to what was spoken there, that we have 2 dietitians on staff that monitor and navigate the nutritional content of everything that's served. And as was mentioned, we're part of the Real Schools, Real Foods program, and work really hard to source as much as we possibly can from local farmers and local companies. San Clemente High School, last week's Fall Spirit Assembly was a huge success. Fall athletic teams, our band, drumline, cheer, dance, and the Latino Union all performed. The energy and school spirit were incredible. Fall athletics are wrapping up as we move into CIF competitions. We've seen strong seasons across the board. Girls flag football, boys water polo, football, girls golf, and tennis have all had great runs and represented San Clemente High School with pride. Earlier this month, we even had a media spotlight when KTLA featured our homecoming events live on air. Definitely a proud Triton moment. We've launched our brand new CCA sports broadcasting class, the Triton Sports Network, TSN. It's actually the first of its kind in the district. Under the guidance of legendary Mr. Mark Popovich, our students have already streamed several athletic events live on YouTube. Check it out. It's been a fantastic way to showcase our teams and give our students real-world broadcasting experiences, and that's part of the CCA program. So it's incredible things that are happening across the board everywhere, and I look forward to being at Truman for Principal for the Day on Friday, which will start with the jogathon, so we'll be running. Thank you. Okay, Trustee Hansen.
All right. I just want to start off by saying that I've always loved being a student in CUSD, but just the last couple months being in this position as a student board member have made me just so much more overwhelmingly grateful to be a part of this district. And I've just seen some more behind the scenes work and all the things that are going into giving our students the best possible education and best resources possible. And a couple things I wanted to talk about. There's a billion. I didn't get the memo we were supposed to wear our shirts today. I also had a shirt. But it was great. And so I'm just so glad I got to get one of those, and so grateful for those STEPS kids who are doing that. And that's such a cool program. I've got to check out the Spider Lab. Sounds so fun. But this week at San Juan, at least, we have been having some presentations from our college and career guidance, and they've been super detailed, helping us with college applications and financial aid and all the little things. And it's just so cool how we're just giving our students, and I feel so grateful as a student, I can speak for all students, that, or I think I can, that we are so happy to have these resources, and they're so helpful. And even just knowing you have so many people supporting you on this path to wherever you want to end up, it's just so helpful. And this new direct admissions to the Cal State seems like it's going to be really cool, and I think super motivating to students who aren't as confident in their ability to make it to college. And I think showing them that, yeah, you can make it there if it's starting at community college and transferring over, or any other path that they might want to take, whether that's college or not, they can do it. And I love that support from our college and career counselors. Moving on to our kitchen, I was also able to attend and tour the district kitchen and hear all about National School Lunch Week. And I happen to be super interested in nutrition and dietetics and all that stuff, so this was fascinating for me. But I, like Trustee Longer said, always assumed school lunches, gross, not the best option for us. I was so impressed on how much intention and care is going into planning these lunches. And we are doing a great job over there, but hearing about the vision they have to keep growing, and they just want to keep doing more and move towards just better and better food, and it's just so cool to see how much our people working in our nutrition care about students. And I was super impressed by the effort towards wanting to move towards scratch cooking, and we have very limited resources with what we can do, but they are maximizing those resources, doing all they can do to get scratch cooked meals when they can. They taught us all about like the difference between processed versus ultra processed when it comes to like legal things, and telling us how they're moving away from ultra processed, and how they're moving towards the local farms sourcing. And just the food was actually really good. Like, I was surprised. I was telling my friends, yeah, I'm gonna go sample school lunches. They're like, okay, sounds fun, great, good for you, I guess. But I went back and I was like, guys, this was actually really good. The flavors were there. It was super impressive, and got to talk with the dietitians, and like has been said, they're really working hard to keep this food nutritious and great for our students. So it's delicious and nutritious. And I used to tell my sister, or ask my sister, I'd say, why don't you bring lunch to school? Why do you get the school lunch? And she's like, it's good. And I'm like, okay. And now I'm like telling her, we're talking about what's on the menu this week and all the fun stuff. So it was just awesome to see. And yeah, so that is pretty much all I have. Just feeling really grateful to be a student in CUSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before moving on, I'd just like to acknowledge the retirees listed on this.
One second, Trustee. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, Trustee Pritchard.
I'd like to return to the apology.
Okay.
I think it's important, I think, as a board that we sort of honor that apology with a workshop of some sort so that we're all given the ability to sort of express this and do so in a more sort of constructive manner. I think it's long overdue. And, we can direct the superintendent to maybe find an important person to come in and give us this workshop so that we have an understanding of race and ethnicity, sensitivity to various differences in our community. So it's not just the words that we say, but it's the action. So I like the sentiment, and I'd like to support Trustees Bullock's apology with action. So yeah, that would be my request.
Okay, we can have our superintendent look into that, and we'll move from there. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I just would like to acknowledge the retirees listed on this month's agenda. Brian Bossamer, Assistant Principal, 31 years. Roman, Custodian 3, 34 years. Leslie Moto, Paraeducator. Roman Sangalang, 34 years. Leslie Moto, Paraeducator, 25 years. Cecily Castro, Staff Secretary, 20 years. Barbara Holland, Food Service Professional, 19 years. And Susan Graves, Paraeducator, 12 years. So we'd just like to highlight some of those long timers with us, and we appreciate all of their service along with all the rest. Thank you. Okay, and this time we're moving on to oral communications. Total time for oral communications shall be 20 minutes. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for oral communications?
We do. We have 12 speaker cards.
Okay, 12 speaker cards. So we will allow 2 minutes per board policy 9323.
1 minute.
Oh, my apologies, 1 minute.
Okay, so I'm going to call all the names, and I'll have you line up by the far exit sign by Mr. Gendra. Lisa Meyer, Linda Haddock, Roger Perez, Kira Davis, Bruce Carlisle, Linda Moore, Martha McNicholas, Christina Lee, Katie Anderson, Angela Dean, Jean, and Sarah Phillips. So Lisa Myers, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm starting. Integrity and heart. Those are two things I heard tonight from the board members that directly pertain to what I'm going to talk about. The mission statement of CUSD is to increase the students' sense of connectedness and reported feelings of safety in their school community. Our school board majority does not pay attention to this mission statement. I brought this to your attention last month, and I'm here again voicing my concern. At San Juan Hills, 2 of the trustees, Davis and Zollinger, were at the student-led Turning Point meeting. I question why 2 of our trustees chose to attend and support a meeting where the founder openly espoused hateful LGBTQ, Muslim, African American, and immigrant views. Why did you attend this meeting? Is this allowed in CUSD policy? This founder was hostile to...
That concludes your time. Our next speaker is Linda Haddock. Linda, come on up.
Hi, my name is Linda Haddock. I'm a para at ATP, and I was noticing the latest list of classified employees had over 90 openings. And I'm wondering if the board would consider doing the CSAP program, the Summer Assistance Program, to maybe get people to go for these jobs, given the fact that our rate of pay is lower than a lot in the area as far as paraprofessionals. The other stuff I was going to talk about went out the window when you brought up Prop 50, which I know where you stand politically because you had a sign in the Trump store in San Clemente. I never brought that up before, but oh my God, how could you do that? How could you that's bringing politics in this. And you're bringing politics in this when you're supporting, you talk about democracy. Trump is not a democracy kind of guy. How could you even think about bringing this up?
Our next speaker is Roger Perez. Roger, come on up.
Ready? Okay. Hi, I am Dr. Roger Perez. I am a parent of students at Bathgate and Newhart. We had spent months calling for accountability, and I was part of a meeting with Judy on Monday at Bathgate, and after some discussion, Judy agreed to provide verbal apology, and she's followed that through. I thank you, Judy, for taking steps to start the healing. A late in-person apology is better than no apology, but I want to remind the board that you voted to stop this discussion in the April meeting. I hope you know that your silence in the face of harm speaks volumes. Words carry weight, especially when you're entrusted to lead and educate our children. You are elected officials whose responsibility is to all of our children. So I commend you, Mr. Pritchett, Dr. Pritchett, that you start and participate in a workshop.
Thank you. Your time is up. Our next speaker is Kira Davis. Kira, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. I am here to express my disappointment that this conservative-led board has not passed a parent notification policy yet. 495 has passed, and there's not a whole lot we can do, but we can reassure parents that you've got their back. This is what we elected you to do. And I think that this board, this conservative board, has been really ineffective and kind of weak. And we need some boldness. We need bold action. You know, when Krista's here, I know exactly where she stands. She always fights, and when she has the power, she uses it. Lisa, you brought a policy last year when you were in the minority, and we fought beside you for it, and it failed, of course, but now you're in the power. You have the power, and you won't bring it. It's a betrayal to parents. And you're getting a lot of grief from the other side today, and I would love to stand up here and defend you. But if you won't defend parents and stand up for what you ran on and what we expected, then we won't be here for you when you need us.
Our next speaker is Bruce Carlisle.
Hello, board. I'm here to discuss Capital Valley's Model United Nations program, which has been very successful. We've started since 2004, and it is the largest MUN program inside of our district. Our goal since 2018 with our principal, John Masustin, and my two co-advisors behind me, is to try to have as much school inclusiveness, trying to make them global citizens as part of the CUSD plan, and working on trying to become better public speakers. We have done that for many years. We had our student representative also represent Capital Valley, but the true joys that we've had as far as this program and being able to try to create as many citizen diplomats as we possibly can is the fact that we've seen them, one, be the school trustee, another so proudly and eloquently voice their opinions about how it's their story that should be told, not the school districts by passing some law trying to out them. So we appreciate all your work. We hope you come to our MUN conference on January 10th, where you can see San Juan Hills and Aliso also compete.
Thank you, Mr. Carlisle. Our next speaker is Linda Moore. Linda, come on up.
I wish to address an incident which I found very disturbing that occurred at last month's board meeting. Board President Lisa Davis called for a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, founder of the ultra-conservative movement Turning Point. I found this highly inappropriate for a public school board meeting and very poor judgment on her part. It was a clear demonstration of interjecting personal politics into school board business. I certainly hope that this will not become a trend, but obviously not. President Davis, your position on Prop 50 should not have been included in this board meeting in any way.
Our next speaker is Martha McNicholas. Go ahead, Martha.
Good evening, trustees. Hopefully you all got the flyer about our chili cook-off. You're all invited. to the third annual Dolphin Foundation Chili Cook-Off next Thursday, October 23rd. And if you want to be a chili chef, we still have a few openings. Secondly, congratulations and thank you for the completion of the new classrooms at Dana Hills High School. I hope you can attend the official ribbon cutting next Tuesday. And third, as you discuss and decide how to spend your limited facilities funds, including a new stadium at Capo Valley and a new gym at San Clemente, please remember that the most seismically at-risk classrooms building is at Dana Hills. Please consider the most needy first. And another Dana Hills note, thank you, Trustee Adams, for coming to homecoming last Friday, and Dana Hills is 7-0. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christina Lee.
CUSD board members, thank you for having us. I'm here to talk about how wonderful our students are at Capo in conjunction with our teachers. Recently, we have just published that we have made connections for over 200 clubs that we have created, have presidents for, and along that, we also have teacher advisors that are giving up their lunches, giving up any type of extracurricular time to support our students to find a place at home at Capo. We're extremely proud, and we just want to also invite you, because every single one of those clubs will be providing a trunk or treat or some kind of community activity. We will be celebrating our Dia de los Muertos and STEAM Community Showcase. We'd love for you to please come by. I've seen many of you there in the past, and I look forward to seeing you because the entire community comes out and benefits to see our students together. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Katie Anderson.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Katie Anderson, and I'm the president of the Dolphin Foundation at Dana Hills High School and a 21-year resident of Dana Point. I'd like to double down on what Martha said about coming to our chili cook-off. We're really excited about it. It's our third year, and we're raising money to help support our students at Dana Hills. It's at the Dana Point Ale House. Next, I want to say congratulations on finishing the new building at Dana Hills High School. Dana students are genuinely energized and motivated by the updated learning environment, and it's been wonderful to see how much the new space enhances their engagement and enthusiasm for school. While this is exciting progress, please do recognize that the main building still houses the majority of our classrooms and remains seismically at risk. Looking ahead, I hope to continue moving forward with, the district's master plan, keeping student safety and long-term sustainability as top priorities in all future facilities projects. Thank you for your continued commitment to supporting safe, inspiring, and innovative learning spaces for our students.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Angela Dean.
Thank you, Trustee Bluckus, for your apology, and thank you, Trustee Pritchard, for proposing a workshop. Trustee Davis, you supposedly hold a nonpartisan position. What do Charlie Kirk and Prop 50 possibly have to do with CUSD, and what business do you have getting up there and speaking on this at all, let alone for the amount of time that you did? It's absolutely just mind-blowing. I'm so off script right now, it's ridiculous. You sit in a chair that is not meant to be a political platform, but that's all that you've turned this into. We all know what your politics are. You've made it abundantly clear. When you're here, do your job. Talk about the students. Talk about the teachers. Leave your politics outside the door because it's absolutely inappropriate.
Our next speaker is Jean.
Good evening, board. I'd like to share a few of my past observations. In the past couple of years, there have been reports of schools within the state of California where they're hiding a child's name change or pronouns from their parents. I've seen this. Also, the Healthy Kids Survey that introduces gender fluid topics. Sex education that goes beyond basic anatomy and introduces gender as a mental construct. Men in women's sports. The Trevor Project this year, or recently, now required to be printed on student ID cards. The passage of AB 495, as Dr. Chris Brown presented, there's talk about unverified people getting access to children. These laws and policies are adversely affecting our children while usurping parental authority. It has been mounting year over year. I give you courage.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sarah Phillips.
Good evening. I'm a Capo alum and a mom of 2 kids in the district. Thank you, Trustee Bullockis, for that overdue apology to the community. I am sure many others appreciate it. Mrs. Davis, your partisan statement on Prop 50 is not appreciated. I am a high school librarian, and last week was Banned Book Week. Public education and libraries are cornerstones of democracy. The last 4 years, we've seen a rise in book banning and attacks on teachers in public education. I want to encourage everyone on this board, in this room, and those watching from home, that you champion public education, champion the great work that our teachers do, and champion reading freely. Reading puts you in another person's shoes. It builds empathy. It inspires. Seek out one of the top 10 banned books and read it. You'll be surprised beyond why someone might find it objectionable that there are important and necessary life lessons to be learned.
That concludes our speakers.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the district initial proposal to Capistrano Unified Education Association for 2026-27 and Capistrano Unified Education Associates initial proposal for 26-27.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Adams.
Second.
Seconded Trustee Bullockis. I'd like to recognize Dr. Presby, who will introduce the item.
Thank you, President Davis. Staff presents item 12A, the initial proposals for a successor contract negotiations from the Capistrano Unified Education Association and the district. This action is required before the negotiation teams can reach a tentative agreement. We're looking forward to another productive year of negotiations with our CUEA labor partner, and staff recommends approval.
Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have one speaker, Jennifer Vega.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Davis, Superintendent Brown, and trustees. My name is Jennifer Vega, and I'm honored to serve as CUEA's newly appointed bargaining chair. This year marks my 32nd year of teaching and my 26th year in CUSD. Over the years, I've taught at DJAMS, Dana Hills High School, Las Flores Middle School, and I currently teach at Arroyo Vista Middle School. I was recently elected as CUEA's first vice president after serving as second vice president for the past 6 years. I've also been a member of our bargaining team for the last 9 years and served as bargaining secretary for 7. So I feel very prepared and am ready to take on this new role. I look forward to building a positive and productive working relationship that has been developed during previous bargaining sessions with Bob Presby, Clark Hampton, Laura Lyon, and Philippa Townsend. We are so in sync with CUSD's team that CUEA's Sunshine Letter opened the same articles as CUSD. The only additional article CUEA opened is Article 8, which is class sizes. Thank you for your time and for your continued commitment to our educators, our students, and the success of Capistrano Unified School District. Good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Vega. Trustee discussion. Trustees?
I move approval.
Okay, all those in favor? Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, we already have, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6-0, or any opposed? Motion passes 6-0 with a preferential vote of aye from Student Board Member Hanson. Moving on to 12B, we have a motion to approve the district's initial proposal to General Truck Drivers Office Food and Warehouse Union, Teamsters Local 952 and Teamsters Local 952's initial proposal for 26-27.
Move approval.
Moved by Trustee Pritchard and seconded by Trustee
Second.
Jones. Okay, I'd like to recognize Dr. Presby, who will introduce the item.
Thank you, President Davis. Staff presents item 12B, the initial proposals for reopener negotiations for the Teamsters Local 952 and the district. This action is required before the negotiation teams can reach a tentative agreement. We're looking forward to another productive year with our negotiations with our Teamsters labor partner. Staff recommends approval.
Trustee discussion? Okay, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 601 with a preferential vote of aye from Student Board Member Hanson. Moving on to 12C, Special Education Community Advisory Committee Annual Report. I'd like to recognize Greg Merwin, Associate Superintendent, Education Support Services, to introduce the item.
Thank you, President Davis and trustees. Staff presents item 12C, Special Education Community Advisory. Special Education Community Advisory Committee Annual Report. Assistant Superintendent Clint Collins will introduce the item and recognize our CAC leaders who have joined us this evening to present. Thank you, Mr. Collins.
All right, good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce our Community Advisory Committee, the CAC. The strong collaborative partnership between the CAC and the district is vital to the support we provide to our schools and our families. Through our monthly CAC check-ins, we share ideas, explore important topics related to special education and 504s, and work together to offer families meaningful trainings and resources. Our collaborative relationship is a true reflection on the outstanding parents who make up our CAC and the dedication they bring to our community. It's now my honor to introduce our CAC Executive Board members who are here tonight. We have First Chair Julie Cole, Vice Chair Michelle Ploswell-Campbell, Vice Chair Mina Carson, prior CAC Chair Rachel Sutherland, and Beth Davis, our current CAC Chair, who will be presenting tonight's presentation. So, Beth, the floor is yours.
Good evening. It seems impossible that it's time to recap another school year, but here we are. I'm here to speak about the amazing year we had in 24-25 for the Special Education Community Advisory Committee. I know several of you are new school board members and may not know exactly what we do at CAC, so I want to start by addressing what CAC is and what we do. Bye. The Community Advisory Committee is a function of our CELPA. We are a collaborative partnership of parents, educators, and community members that serve as resources for special education. The CAC's mission is to foster positive connections and awareness of special education among students, parents, and CUSD, and to provide guidance in special education so all students become lifelong learners. We hold meetings or parent trainings monthly, and we invite parents and community members to attend. This is in hopes that they may engage directly with CUSD Special Education Administration and hear guest speakers on relevant special education topics. Our monthly meetings have two parts to them. The first half is our business portion, and it consists of agendas, motions, and updates from different committees. The second half of our CAC meeting is educational and typically involves the aforementioned guest speakers. You see our schedule from last year. Next one. CAC is governed by an executive board and bylaws. We have voting members that approve our agendas and minutes monthly, plus other business. These voting members consist of parents and community members that go through an approval process and serve a 2-year term. They're expected to attend most monthly meetings. In addition to voting members, we try to have one special ed representative from every school site in our district. Last year, we had reps from 37 out of the 50 schools. That representative attends CAC meetings and then reports back to their school. Our SPED reps are at their site to connect with parents of other students with special needs on IEPs and 504s and to help bridge the gap between the general education population and the special education community. The reps report any information, flyers, or resources they receive at our monthly CAC meetings. This allows us to get as much information and support out to all our special education families in our district. SPED reps often meet with their site principal or AP monthly and try to spread awareness of special education issues. Can you go one back? should be ability awareness. Number 7. There you go. Thanks. All right. Many of our CAC reps host ability awareness days or sometimes ability awareness weeks at their school sites. These events allow all our students to understand what it is like to maybe learn differently, speak differently, see differently, process differently, ambulate differently, and much more. These events help us bridge the gap between SPED and Gen Ed and foster inclusion. If you have not been to one, I encourage you all to go and observe or participate in an ability awareness event at one of your local schools. It is well worth your time. Please email capocac@gmail if you want to know when events are happening in your area. And just a note that there will be an Ability Awareness Day at RH Dana next Wednesday, October 22nd, from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Thanks. Check in, yeah. Our executive board, in addition to our monthly CAC meetings, met monthly with our special education administrators in what we call our monthly check-ins. We have an agenda for these meetings, and it is a great time for our board members to be a voice for the rest of the special education parents and student community. Administrators such as Clint Collins, Gina Dagley, Dr. Meg Irvis, Lauren Petullo, Dr. Carrie Johnson, and Peggy Bears all kindly sat down with us monthly to collaborate on any issues. They updated us on anything new from SELPA and gave current updates on SPED legislation. During the 24-25 school year, we addressed issues at these check-ins and meetings and discussed some of the following. Concerns at RH Dana over inclusion, playground accessibility, and the site's bathrooms for SPED students. Sensory room needs in middle and high school. Noting the importance of accommodations to be listed in a common place on IEPs and 504s so ed specialists can access the information quickly and easily. Emergency plans and specifically how they affect our STEP students and those students with significant additional needs. New grading policies, standard-based testing, and what mastery looks like when your student's on an IEP. Need for expanding dyslexia training at our high schools. CCS changes and updates, middle school STEPS program revamping, and much more. I'd like to think that this monthly collaboration with SPED admin gives us our SPED teams more tools to do their jobs more effectively, help all SPED students reach their full potential, and help assure our district families feel heard and supported. We love the opportunity for these monthly meetings, and from what I have heard from other local CACs, this collaboration is what truly makes Capo CAC and the Capo SPED team excel in comparison. Last year, in addition to the 9 check-in meetings, we had 6 in-person CAC meetings. The 6 educational topics we covered were an extended special education administrator report, an overview presentation from Regional Center, a very informative session on IEPs, 504s, and FBAs, tips and tricks, a review and input session on the LCAP, a very insightful presentation on nutrition services, and a presentation on SSI eligibility and appeal process. We had between 20 and 45 people attend each meeting, and approximately 15 people watched on YouTube each month. This is this year's schedule in case anyone would like to attend. This year, as you can see, our meeting schedule, we have another great year planned. We had an extended administrator report at our first meeting last month, and we have many great speakers lined up for the rest of the coming year. Topics include an Ability Awareness Day demo, which is tomorrow, advocating for your child, grade level transition workshops, an O-Behave workshop, an LCAP review, special needs trusts, and then we end the year with a speaker on CalAble accounts. Getting back to the greatness of last year, in February, we held our annual grade level transition event on Zoom. We were able to reach a total of 74 viewers. Our pre-K to kindergarten and beyond session had 30 people participate. Our elementary to middle school Zoom had 16 participants. Our middle school to high school sessions had 10 participants, and our high school to ATP sessions had 18 participants. All 4 sessions were recorded, and then videos were posted to the CAC website, so anyone not able to attend live could watch and gain access to the same information whenever it was convenient. We would like to thank Lauren Petullo, Sherry Nelson, Katie Wagner, and Lucy Coppola for being our admin presenters. And we'd like to thank Laura Olier, Michelle Plossel Campbell, Anu Mandela Parthy, and Jeannie Williams for being parent presenters. Because of all of you, GLT was a huge success. O-Behave. In February, in conjunction with the SPED department, 2 of our family coordinators held an O-Behave workshop for our parents at the Early Childhood Center. We chose the ECC last year to try and reach some new families of younger students. While only a few parents attended, those few families received a very informative overview of behavior support and strategies, and they were able to ask and get answers to a lot of questions to take the same strategies home. Sunshine Awards. In March, we were honored to host our annual Special Educator Sunshine Awards in the Capital Valley High School Performing Arts Center. It was a perfect location to honor this year's 235 honorees. We received a total of 277 Sunshine Award nominations for the 24-25 school year, which included 235 unique educators over a total of 43 different school sites. We were thankful for the new location and more room for attendees this year. This allowed families to nominate up to 3 people this year instead of capping it at just 2 nominations per family. Here's a few pictures from our event. Oh, you're good. Some fun Sunshine Award stats for you tonight. The first year CAC held Sunshine Awards in 2016, we had 73 nominations. As you can see, that number has grown every year to the 277 nominations in 2025. To say CAC's annual Sunshine Awards are a success is an understatement, not to mention they are super fun to put together and a privilege to host. Every year we honor a big kahuna, or someone who stands out with more nominations than anyone else, more years than anyone else, or some other unique outlier. This year we honored Castile Elementary instead of just one person. Castile had more nominations than any other school site, and we thought that should be recognized. These are a few of our performers. And this is the entire group shot of all honorees in attendance at this year's Sunshine Awards. Exceptional Student Awards. The last thing we do every year for CAC is to give out Exceptional Student Awards. The Special Education Community Advisory Committee recognizes exceptional students for outstanding contributions in creating inclusive school communities. We honor their dedication to authentically advocate for peers with disabilities. We celebrate their ability to break down barriers and lead with courage. We commend them for the dynamic and diverse foundation they are building for a more compassionate world. We encourage all to embrace the possibilities of their potential and continue to soar with brilliance. We give honorary awards to high school students who have made outstanding contributions in creating inclusive school communities. With the guidance of special education department chairs and support of the PTSA, each CUSD high school special education rep selects senior year students who authentically advocate for peers with disabilities. These honorees are listed on the CAC website, and the presentation of award certificates are given at each school's senior award night. I apologize if I mispronounce any names ahead of time. This year we recognize the following students: Elisa Niguel High School, Gonzalo Garcia Antuna, Jovi Becklin, Miley Patapoff, and Rachel Shin. Dana Hills High School, Benjamin Strauss, Lola Bayon, and Sophie Davies. San Clemente High School, Emma Lockwood and Callista Hall. And San Juan Hills High School, Zayn Abbasi and Jeremiah Lindsay Fajardo. This is a great way for CAC to end out our school year on a positive note. I am thankful for the successful year we had as a CAC community in the 2024-2025 school year, and look forward to another great year in 25-26, full of collaborative check-in meetings, informative CAC meetings, and workshops, our grade level transition event, in which will be on December 4th, and the 2026 Sunshine Awards, and much, much more. Please feel free to join us for a meeting if you ever have time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
There are none.
Thank you. Trustees? Trustee Bolkus?
What a great presentation, and there is so much that goes on. I have a couple of comments on my observations. I love Ability Awareness Day. I have learned so much. I remember the first one was back at Bathgate, and most recently, in the last couple of years, at Arroyo Vista. where I think they made it an all week, but there was so much. And I traveled around to see what the kids were learning. And I just think it's a wonderful opportunity, again, for students to understand and you've come up with really creative activities, which you're going to discuss tomorrow at your meeting to help others step up and become chair people at our schools. But very creative ways in which to show kids that have special needs, what they deal with, and to recognize that and to help them. And I know that there's community partners who then have come out with, blind guide dogs and various, and the kids always take to any animals. So I just want to say I just love that program. I also wanted to share last Monday, a week ago, I had guests in town from Oregon, and my husband wanted to take them to this Rancho Capistrano winery that he'd been reading about. And so I'm sitting there and I see this floral arrangement, and it has a tag, Explorers Florals, CUSD ATP. I'm like, hey, that's our kids. And then on the back side, there was the QR code. And so I wrote the teacher, Paige Kilpatrick, to let her know how delighted, because then I mentioned it to the gal who was serving us, and she's, oh, we just love their arrangements. And then on Tuesday or Wednesday, when we were at the central kitchen, we had students who came, 3 young men who came in and they were helping. And I said, by the way, do you know anything about who teaches that class at ATP? Because I hadn't written her yet, I wanted to reach out. And they said, oh, they're so good, they're floral arrangements, and they just love doing it. And then Central Kitchen chimed in and said, oh, we order from them all the time, we just love their arrangements. So I received a really lovely email back from Paige Kilpatrick, who told me she shared my email with the students and how much it thrilled them that they, I was out in the community and seeing their work. And it really is a beautiful arrangement and all. So I just want to let you know, it really is a blessing to see them being productive and learning skills and a craft so that they have something that they can go on and do. And I was just really impressed with the 3 young men at the kitchen who then were, so proud of the florists, and all. So just thank you for all you do. It's so meaningful for these students and for all of us to support the efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Other trustees? Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
President Davis, sorry, I didn't get my button very quickly. I think almost everyone is touched by a special education person, whether it's one's own child or a child that one knows, and whether it is someone with a mild disability or a severe disability. I haven't told this story in a while, and some of you have probably heard it, sorry. You're going to hear it again. When I was a kid, I had a first cousin, many, many years older than I'm sure at least 20 years, probably 25 years older than I, and he's now deceased. At the time, I don't think disabilities were even analyzed. It was, they sort of took one look at you and said no. And the no was, you're not coming to school. And I don't know the level of what his disability was. I don't know what the nature of it was. It was not diagnosed. He was just not going to be allowed in a school. His family was Catholic. His parents were very Catholic and very in touch with a bunch of nuns that were nearby, and they took him in for classes and taught him to read and write. And when he was an adult and they had passed away, they had saved up the money for him to live in some sheltered community. And we visited one time, my parents and I, and it was just men, and they each had a room around a big common room, and there was kind of a nurse's station in the center. I don't know if it was a nurse or not. I didn't pay that much attention. But she said, you know, he's the only one who can read and write. The only young person here, well, he was no longer that young, who could read and write. And I just feel like so many people, kids, adults, were deprived of any sort of role in society in those days. And it's different now. And I think that's really great. And I just wanted to tell that story again, just in case you hadn't heard it. But I also wanted to remark, because I know a lot of people, special ed parents and others, are concerned about what's going on in the the U.S. Department of Education. So I've asked some questions about it, and there's the things that are the same and the things that are not changing, that are changing. So what is different is that everyone working in the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education has been fired. That's all the Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, and Title VI staff. The other thing that has happened, and we know it, is that most of the staff in the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services have often also been fired. But here's the things that have not changed. The mandates for all the programs continue as federal law has not changed, so IDEA is still in place. But the office and people that provide the support, technical assistance, and guidance are no longer working. That doesn't mean that one doesn't have to follow, or schools don't have to follow it, but no one is checking up. I think here in California, the state will still be monitoring that, but the federal government not. The other thing that has not changed for now is that none of the funding was cut, and we're still able to access the funds that were allocated thus far. So we don't know what's going to happen, but that's like what has and has not happened, and what has changed and what has not changed for now. I know our staff, because I've asked them, have been asking questions of their counterparts and the people they know, and such as that, and I think we will know more as time goes on, but right now we don't know very much. Just that for the time being, we are not really affected. Your children are not affected. Our children are not affected. So I just wanted to pass that along. You probably knew better than I, but I'm telling you anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Bolkus?
I'd like to add something real quick. Back in the 50s and 60s, to dovetail off of what you're saying, my brother was not allowed in public school. He went to Low Krantz Handicap School, and that's kind of the county facility. They just sent everybody with all different kinds of, issues. And so we're very fortunate today that we address people. And going back to the all awareness ability is, I learned in going and visiting my brother and going to events and all that, just as my other brothers did. And my brother was physically handicapped, not mentally handicapped. But again, it's a wide spectrum of who they put there. So I grew up with different handicapped people of different types. And I have a Keith Conover who outlived his parents and his brother. He's in his 70s today, but learned a job and is still working and living in a mobile home by himself, and is able to do that. But the all abilities really helps families who don't have someone with special needs. Young people are not comfortable. They don't know, if someone's in a wheelchair, you can, bend down and get down to their level, eye contact and all, and just different things in way that they're kids too, and they like to be acknowledged. So I just think it adds to children learning about other children and how to approach children and make them a part of their world. So again, thank you.
Thank you. And I would definitely add that special children are special, and that there's so much that we all learn from one another, and especially from our special kids. So thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to 12D, Spring 2025 California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Results. I'd like to recognize Greg Merwin, Associate Superintendent, Education Support Services, to introduce the item. Greg?
Thank you, President Davis and trustees. Staff presents item 12D, Spring 2025 California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Results. I'm joined to support this item by Assistant Superintendents of Elementary and Secondary Education, Ms. Jen Smalley and Dr. Dave Stewart. Tonight's annual report on student performance from the 24-25 school year is in response to the board's focus area of student achievement. In tonight's presentation, you will be seeing evidence of strong gains in all subject areas, including mathematics, science, and English language arts, demonstrating that we are not only above pre-pandemic achievement levels, but we are continuing to improve in all three areas. This would not be possible without our exceptional teachers, classified staff, and site administrators. We are so appreciative of their collective professionalism, expertise, dedication, and their unwavering support and focus on student success. So we thank our entire CUSD team tonight for their efforts to meet the needs of all of our students. Bless you. As always, we begin our presentation with the end in mind, and that is the goal of our students achieving the 5 attributes of the vision of a CUSD graduate. The student achievement data that we are presenting to you this evening directly supports our work and demonstrates our progress in 2 of the 5 attributes of our grad profile, as noted here: continuous learner, and innovative problem solver, and critical thinker. So we start off with our overall district percentage of students meeting or exceeding standards in English language arts. Capistrano Unified is the blue line. And you can see that we increased from spring of 24 to spring of 25 by 1.8%. The other lines are there to provide you with context. So the yellow are all students in California. Orange, Orange County students. And finally, in green, we have included the highest performing unified school district in Orange County. So it is our goal that we are the highest performing unified school district in Orange County. And so you can see how we have continued to close the gap between our district and the highest performing district. In 2019, as you can see on the screen, the gap between our district and that district was 13.1% in English language arts, and now the gap is only 5.5%. So finally, I want to point out that our district has exceeded pre-pandemic levels, whereas Orange County students, California students, and the highest district have not. So now we're providing to you a comparison between our district and the other 11 unified school districts in Orange County, again in the subject area of English language arts. So in these 4 quadrants, the upper right-hand quadrant is the quadrant you want to be in. That means that you had growth from 2024 to 25, and you're also above pre-pandemic levels. So as this shows, we are one of only 4 districts in Orange County in the subject of English language arts that meets both of those criteria. And conversely, you can see how other districts are making growth, but they are not above pre-pandemic, and others have still not returned to pre-pandemic and are not growing. Moving on to mathematics, we now again in the blue, demonstrating a 2.1% increase from spring of 24 to spring of 25. Similarly to English language arts, we're above pre-pandemic levels, whereas California and Orange County students in general are not. Also, there's a similar trend in comparison here with the highest scoring district. In 2019, note the gap between our district and that district, 16.6% difference. Now the gap is less than 10% separating our districts. And we are above pre-pandemic levels, and the other district is not. Again, looking at the 4 quadrants, considering mathematics, our district and the other 11 unified school districts, you can see we're one of only 3 districts that are above pre-pandemic levels and also making gains. Again, 8 other districts making gains but are below pre-pandemic, and 1 not meeting criteria in either. So then our final content area that we share with you tonight is science. And again, just as with English language arts and mathematics, CUSD posted strong gains from the previous year, 2.4% gains compared to spring of '24. You're also going to note the continual growth year over year, which is different than with the other subject areas. Science scores climbed consistently from 2019 until this past spring without a dip from the pandemic. We have continuously climbed, and we are now 5.7% growth since 2019. Now, in this content area, different from the other two, California and Orange County averages have actually now exceeded pre-pandemic levels, but they're still far below CUSD's percentages. And again, the gap between CUSD and the highest performing district has closed significantly, from 20.4% difference in 2019 to approximately 7% in the spring of '25, showing significant gains. And on the final slide, comparing all the districts again in the area of science, you can see we are one of 6 that again are in the upper right-hand quadrant, and then you can see where the others land. Want to ask Dr. Brown if you had any other additional comments.
I mean, a couple of things. So just so that my colleagues don't get mad at me, we're not trying to throw other districts under the bus. We're just celebrating the success of the hard work of our students. And for people like, oh, it's only 2% growth. When you realize we're the largest district in Orange County and we have thousands and tens of thousands of students, right, that we test, 2% is a big number. It's thousands of students who are doing better than they were before. The other thing that we won't get into tonight, but the staff looks at and sites are looking at, they're looking at longitudinal growth, right? So your principals and your teachers are looking at how much each child is growing year to year and what interventions and supports we need to make sure that they can keep growing, right? So we look at longitudinal growth. For our cohorts, we get much more detailed, but that would be a 10-hour workshop, and so that's a whole different thing. The other part is to just really think about what it means to be high achieving and growing, right? That means that you're building on a culture of excellence. We are by no means done, right? You see some of those. If you can go back a slide, please, Greg. That's great. That's tremendous data. That's fantastic growth. It still does mean that we have 44% of our students in science who aren't where we want them to be yet, right? So we're cognizant that there's an inverse side to all of this data that we are also looking at and focusing on to help make sure that we continue to push our students to ever higher levels of achievement in the content areas they're at, right? So that's one of the reasons we have the intervention systems we have, and also one of the reasons that we're trying to partner with parents on things like the phonics to fluency, right? How to help your student be a better reader so that everyone's involved in working together and pushing sort of the same direction.
I appreciate that, Dr. Brown. And yes, I get a little excited and very proud of our district, and I'll probably hear from my colleagues as well about this presentation, but nonetheless. So Dr. Stewart is now going to continue the presentation with the next set of data regarding student growth. He's going to go in a little more detail, and then also, as Dr. Brown was saying, go into some of the factors that have positively impacted that growth.
Thank you, Dr. Merwin. And great segue from Dr. Brown, because these next 2 slides will examine our match cohort data change on the Smarter Balanced Assessment. So essentially this data is comparing students to themselves, students that took the Smarter Balanced Assessment in 2 consecutive years. Of note, Ms. Smalley and myself over the past year in our monthly meetings with principals have observed a strong commitment to data-driven leadership and regular progress monitoring of students over the entire year, and really excited to share this data today because we believe this is reflected in the student growth that we observe here. So things of note, one, you'll notice that on the far right side, and again, this slide represents English language arts. On the far right side, you'll see that over a fifth of our students improved by by at least 1 proficiency level on the Smarter Balanced Assessment. The 2 graphs on the left-hand side, the 2 bars comparing 23-24 to 24-25, you'll notice 2 things of note. One, we have more students in the green and blue, so more students are proficient or above. But really what we believe, our team believes is the most significant is if we look at our students in the intensive band or far below basic band, that number is continuing to shrink. So we have fewer and fewer students that are achieving below grade level. The next slide is showing our results in math on the Smarter Balance assessment. Similarly, you'll notice about a fifth of our students improved one proficiency band on that test. On the left-hand side, you'll notice almost 3% growth from green to blue, and those are students that are exceeding proficiency levels. And then once again, if you look at the intensive band, 16.3 to 15.5, very proud of the work to continue to reduce the students that are considered intensive or far below basic. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Smalley.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. I'm excited to share these slides with you. I fought Dr. Stewart to get these slides because these are my favorite. It's exciting to see that, like Dr. Merwin mentioned, all of our students had almost a 2% increase in ELA, but look at our student groups. Look at the tremendous growth they had. We're really proud of the exceptional teaching of our teachers and our support staff and our principals. One contributing factor, we believe, is the intentional intervention and enrichment time that we've built into all of our school sites. At elementary, we call it win time. At middle school and high school, we call it tutorial, and every school, as you know, has their own special name for it at the secondary level. But our teachers are so skilled at identifying students by name and by need with the exact teaching that they need and scheduling that time within the child's school day to provide that intervention or enrichment. And we contribute this growth to that work that our sites are doing in that area. And as Dr. Merwin mentioned, look at the growth from pre-pandemic. We are exceeding, even with our student groups, pre-pandemic. And when you see that big yellow arrow, I mean, we should feel very proud. We know that it's a celebration, that the resources and strategies we use from the COVID bunnies had an impact at mitigating learning loss. And this is incredible data we're very proud to show with you. And we see the same things in math. Over 2% of our students had an increase, just like in ELA, demonstrating growth. And we are so excited and think a lot of it, like Dr. Stewart mentioned, is related to the work we're doing with our principals. When Dr. Stewart and I meet with principals, we're asking them to track our student groups. And our teachers are tracking our student groups. And principals are sharing that data with their leadership teams, with their entire staffs. And our teachers are responding to students by name, by need, as I shared before. And our principals are sharing best practices in our principal PLCs. We look at the schools with the most growth, and we have that principal or their staff share with the principal group what they did. We just did this last week at Marco Forster Middle School, who had the most growth in writing. And as a school district, we're studying best practices so we can spread it across district-wide. And then in math, again, look at where we are from pre-pandemic, above pre-pandemic in all of our student group areas. And again, very proud of that. With that, staff and Dr. Merwin are available for questions.
I would also add, this is just one assessment. This is the big SBA end of year assessment. So students take this assessment in March or April. We get the data in the summer and principals start going through, but it's not available for public consumption until October. It just became unembargoed by the state maybe a week ago.
Correct.
And so while we have close to the full data early in the summer and our principals are working through it, we're not allowed to share it publicly, which is why it waits all the way until October to come out. It's also only one source of data. Not every kid takes the SBA, right? So your 9th and 10th graders don't take it, your kinder, 1st, 2nd graders don't take it. So we have other sources that we use to monitor students like DIBELS and iReady and IABs and CFAs, which are common formative assessments, and interim assessment blocks for IABs, yeah. So the teachers have a wealth of data at their disposal to look at for when they figure out who needs to go to win time and for what reason does a student need to go to a win time for an intervention. It's not just this SBA from a test they took 6 months ago. This is, however, the most publicly shared data and the data that will impact our California dashboards. So when we share dashboards with you in a coming month, and that goes out publicly, the SBA data is the data that they use. So that's the one we start with when we begin our sort of data reporting for the year.
Thank you. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item? Thank you. Trustees? Trustee Jones?
Yes, can you go back to the last slide? So what I like about this is that these here are the students that are the most challenging to find improvement for, and the ones that I think most districts, if they were brave enough to put this out, would find very little improvement. It is, there are districts without a lot of, well, we'll just say unduplicated students. And we don't have a lot, but we have, we have a decent number who have very high scores. And they are relying on these students who the teachers might think that they are responsible for these great scores the students get. But it's not the teachers in some of in families like this. It's the families. And when we see this kind of growth from the students that are the most academically needy, I think that's just amazing. And I want to, commend the whole district for that. And I think that, it wasn't us really, but I want to commend the staff, the teachers, everyone in this district who is involved in this, because it really is just absolutely wonderful that we are getting this kind of growth in the students who are the most academically needy. So, pat yourselves all of yourselves on the back. This is great news. Thank you.
And thank you. We're very proud of the progress, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I would congratulate Rowena Mack and her team, specifically for the work that they've done with our teachers, and our teachers for then implementing that work for their integrated ELD strategies. You see the result in a higher reclassification rate, and you see it in our students who are English learners or redesignated students making strong strides, and that's, the training, the strategies, and then the teachers believing in it and actually implementing them in their classrooms with those students, and then you get nice big pretty arrows to show.
You just stole my comment, Dr. Brown. I was going to say the thing that stood out to me is the reclassified fluent English progress. That's amazing, and huge shout out to our EL department and the work that they did. I think to see that long-term growth is amazing. So, yay.
Thank you. Trustee Pritchard?
Could you go back a couple more slides, the one that Dr. Brown pointed to?
Keep going.
Yeah, the trend line one. There it is. I'm wondering what the trustees are hearing on the green line, because that's pretty dramatic to me. And if there's any lessons to be learned in education, it's probably collective. So whatever we're doing, seeing that blue line keep going, that's courageous, fantastic. It's excellence. But to see that green line in the highest performing district in Orange County, I think there's a lesson there of some sort to see that just to keep going down.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, the green line is not the same district in every slide, right? So it's not one district that is the highest in English
but
and math.
I will say, in each one of those slides, the green was trending in the opposite direction.
And I can't tell you what my colleagues talk about with their boards, but I can tell you when we get together, we actually spend a lot more time focused on the subgroup data, the group data, right? Like, what are you doing with EL students? How are you working to get your most at need students, your students with disabilities? That's kind of what we focus on as a team when we talk about it as superintendent. So I can't tell you what they're telling their board about that data. Maybe they do a different presentation and it looks slightly different.
I noticed the same thing, Trustee Pritchard. I thought, whoa, what happened to that? The Green Line District, and it's a great graph for us to see our consistent upward growth, even through such a challenging season. and to see the highest, I mean, I'm so fascinated. I want to know like what happened, but it's not my business. So
Well, and I would add, Trustee Adams, that this is the type of growth you want to see as a district. You want to see slow, steady growth. This is exactly what you want to see. You don't want to see a roller coaster of up, down, up, down. This is the way you get there.
Yes, thanks for pointing that out, Trustee Pritchard. I also leaned over to Superintendent regarding that. Will you go back to the math and the language arts as well? We see
Start at
similar.
language arts? Yeah.
We see the similar trend right there with our steady growth.
Language
And
arts
And in math,
and math.
at a little dip, and then trending back up. So it's incredibly important to notice that trend and the good work that we're doing here in CSD.
And I can
Thank
definitely
you.
tell you what they all talked about for that little dip that you see everywhere. That was COVID.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, there's so much more data I'd love to have, but even wanting to know what the green line, when did they open? Like, what was their protocol during COVID?
Right.
And I think it speaks to CUSD's strategic spending of the COVID money and how we used it. It was obviously very effective.
And we had students back in school first.
Yeah. Well, I knew that, but I just was wondering, like, what's
And
the
very
timing?
strategically spending money.
Yeah. Well
Thank you.
done.
Well, and also here, we see 2019 and then 2022, 2023. 2020 and 2021 ain't there. There was no data then.
No scores.
Yeah, no testing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm a senior, so I was a junior last year and got to be part of these statistics. But I just want to say, state testing isn't what we look forward to the most as students. Like second semester, junior year, we have a lot of things going on. It's pretty much, it's dreaded. But I'm just happy to see like how we can take these numbers and help fill gaps with students, because that's really what we want to do long term. And so as much as it might feel like a pain to sit through a couple weeks of testing, it's definitely worth it to be able to help out all of our students and figure out how we can do better. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, trustees.
Thank you so much. And we'll move on to 12E. May I have a motion to approve board meeting start time?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Adnam, second by Trustee Zollinger. I'd like to recognize Superintendent Chris Brown to present the item.
All right, so the next couple of items go together, 12E and 12F. So the proposal is to move open session start times from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. There's a fundamental belief that the later it gets in the evening, the less your brain is able to make really high-level decisions. And so if we want our public to watch high-level decision-making around budget, that happening at 9 and not 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. is a benefit to staff, to the board who are making those decisions, and to people who are watching those and not getting bedtime reminders at that time. So, there's a balance between being too early, where you could start a lot earlier. Some districts start as early as 5 p.m., and that's challenging for people who want to watch the board meeting and maybe have work to do, and versus too late where you get to the end of the day. So this proposal to change the start time from 7 to 6, the idea would be we would start changing the start time as early as the next meeting, so 6 p.m. for November and December. This requires a change ultimately to a board bylaw that has another change in it that we're going to propose. So the proposal here is for the board to accept changing the start times for the November meetings forward to 6 p.m. And then the other part of that board bylaw will come in the next item. Obviously, that will probably require multiple reads or multiple shots coming through the board. And so this would move the start time to 6, and then that next item would take the next meeting or 2 meetings to get through.
Thank you. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have one speaker, Michelle Plossel Campbell.
Thank you.
My comments actually go to both 12E and 12F, but I only pulled one card so I don't say it twice. So, moving the time forward makes sense. I don't want to hear you making budget decisions at 11 p.m. My one concern, though, is we have professional board members who have jobs, and I wonder what time closed session will start for them, and will they be able to be present and actually represent the parents and communities here? Or are they going to be still starting closed session at 5 p.m., adjourning, putting it on pause until after open session and going back and making some very difficult decisions after the open session was held? So that's a concern to me about moving it forward. Changing the day of the week. I have no problem if it took effect in July. I have a problem with it taking effect in February. So many of the groups that support our district plan their schedules for their meetings around your meetings that are published coming in January or February. So we already have our meeting dates planned. And if you look at the CIC schedule that was presented today, last year you noticed our meetings were all on Wednesdays. And this year they're all on Thursdays. We moved them because the school board meetings are on Wednesdays. We were asked by the staff of this district to make that change. I was a former council president in this district. We made sure our meeting dates didn't clash. We made sure that open house nights at our elementary schools don't clash. Those are on Thursdays. So my request is that I really don't care what day of the week you meet, but please don't make that change of day until July, the start of the next fiscal year, so that all of the dates that I've already scheduled for this year can be honored, because you already have meeting dates planned out and inked on people's calendars through June. So make this change to Thursday, starting with your meeting in July. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards? Thank you.
So I can speak to at least a couple of those things. So the plan will be closed session still starts at the same time. Closed session, as you guys know, moves based on the closed session agenda. It doesn't always start at 5. Sometimes it starts at 6 or 6:30, depending on how much we have. So closed session would still be at 5 because we do have professional board members. And then it would be scheduled so that anything that was less taxing, if it would be towards the end of closed session, because that would return at the end of open session if we had to. That's the plan for that. As for Thursdays, I think that's great input. I think there's a couple things to think. Just to be very careful, those dates are not set yet because the board will vote in December to set their calendar. So we know that it's a Wednesday, right? But those things sometimes get moved during that December board meeting. So I just want to be careful for anyone listening who's got their things set in stone. There is a new trailer budget omnibus bill that is requiring some changes to when budget things are due that may require us to move board meetings to earlier parts of months. So we're looking at that as well. So I just want to be very clear that whether we move to Thursdays in February or in July, the January to July board schedule still doesn't get made until December. And so it gets voted on or could be changed because of an omnibus bill. It gets voted on again.
Thank you.
But either way, it's fine.
Trustees?
Well, it brings a good question up because in the past, which I think was addressed this year, open houses, and I mean, I had so many musical performances that were Wednesday nights, and it's like, I'm sorry, it happens to be the board meeting Wednesday. And so I actually had teachers that were kind enough to shift nights. So they kind of plan out their schedules, so I do understand.
Yeah, and so actually, if I can ask, that is the next item on the agenda. So I think we can continue the day discussion, and we can gather input on that because there's some discussion about open house and some other things that we can talk about with the, was it 12F? So the question before you of 12E is just, do we move to 6 p.m. starting in November? 12F would be the full bylaw change, which would include the day, and then we can talk about, do we want to do a July start on that, and what are the things we want to work on as we write that bylaw.
So I would just add in regards to the board meeting start time that wasn't necessarily focused on here is in fairness to our staff. It makes their day a lot longer waiting till it starts at 7. They've been here all day working, so it makes far more sense for their productivity and all, and their ability to get some sleep. So just wanted to bring that forward.
Thank you. Other comments on the 6 o'clock start time? Okay, all those in favor say, trust.
I would say the idea of having it based on cognitive abilities later on in the, if we arrange the agenda also to kind of get more of the business part that may require a lot more action from the board, and kind of as a board commit that we're going to be on task to get the business done And then maybe the sort of more celebratory comments and all of that happen maybe a little later when we don't need as much of that energy. It also solves some of that but we'd have to, as a board, say, okay, we need to really focus on this thing now, get this business done, and then maybe have comments somewhere further down the road.
Yeah, I like that idea as well. I spoke about that as well. Any other comments? All those in favor of a 6 o'clock start time?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-0-1 with the preferential vote of aye from Student Board Member Hanson. Move on to 12F. May I have a motion to waive second reading and approve first reading Board Bylaw 9320, meetings and notices? Moved by Trustee Zollinger, seconded by Trustee Adnams. I'd like to recognize Superintendent Chris Brown to present the item.
All right, and onward we continue. The changes to the board bylaw are minor, mostly typo changes or language changes. However, the main change would be, of course, moving board meetings from Wednesdays to Thursdays. Part of the thinking was this. A lot of the other political groups meet on Wednesdays. The Orange County School Boards Association meets on Wednesdays. A lot of our city councils meet on Wednesdays. And so in an effort for staff and our boards to participate in those events if they would like, we would be able to slide to Thursdays. The other thing it does for us is allow us to post agendas on Mondays if needed. I would love to tell you that things come to agendas weeks ahead of time and we're that far out, but this is a giant district and things are changing on the daily. And so not having to post over a weekend makes it a lot easier on staff to get an accurate agenda that doesn't have to get changed. It also makes it much, much better when there's a Monday holiday that fits in those things. So those are all the reasons for Thursday. Staff has no opposition to when that change takes effect, whether it's February or July. We have talked about the idea that we've tightened up on school open houses, and so they're generally going to be at a certain time in the spring on Thursdays. We know we could try to avoid that week, but we could always just wait till July to make the change to Thursdays, and then everyone could build their schedule after that. I don't think that that's a problem. The bylaw wouldn't state when it starts, so we would just make that a condition of the acceptance of the changes to the bylaw to start either in February or July.
Okay, Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards on this item? Thank you. Trustees? Trustee Pritchard?
Yeah, I'd say I'm not so convinced of the political thing. We discussed this early on, and I've sat through these board meetings where they've been on all kinds of things. But one of the things that we decided early on, or at least one board, I remember the comment is, yeah, but we're more important than the city. So we have our meetings because we care about children in schools, and we shouldn't be worried about what other agencies are up to. I will, though, say on the second part, though, I can see that. So Monday would give you a little bit of staff time to get the agenda together. Things are, I don't know, yeah, I agree that July should be probably the start, just to that seems, because everyone anticipates that we're stays.
Okay, Trustee Jones?
I don't have a strong preference as to when this takes place. I think it could be, if there's a problem as far as doing it in, November, maybe it doesn't have to be July, but it could be June. But in any event, I do have a couple of minor things. Number one, we're missing a person. We can't pass on first reading, so that is, we can't do that. I'm concerned I'm pretty sure it was the meetings and notices because I didn't print them both out, but I think that it eliminated the referring to Robert's Rules of Order.
Different.
Is it? Okay, what was that? What item was that? That was meeting conduct. Okay, excuse me. I do have one small change that I want to request, and that is I think it's the first page. It says the agenda shall be posted in one or more locations, freely accessible to members of the public, effective July 1, 2008. SB 343 expands the public's right, well, this is in the past, I'd like to take that out and just say the public has the right to inspect documents, and take out the reference to something that happened in 2008. Other than that, I'm fine with it.
Staff, did we get that information to make that change? Okay, great, thank you. Great,
But I
thank
don't
you.
mind if it comes back on second reading in consent. I think that would be fine. But
Well,
we can't.
Yeah, we can't pass it because
Can't
we're
pass
not
tonight,
full
yeah.
board. Yes. And, yeah, those comments were presented previously, so we also go ahead.
I would just say I am an advocate of moving it to Thursday because oftentimes in getting the agenda, and there are some months that there are bigger, thicker agendas than others, and sometimes my family is chock full of events all weekend long, and I don't have that opportunity to read it Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So it gives me one more day to come back Monday and get cracking on it. So I like the move to Thursday. I think for a couple of reasons and for staff, especially like if we have a Monday holiday, which we do throughout the year, that also impacts us shortening our time and ability. So I'm for it. Thank you.
Okay, so if it comes back on second read, then I will make a language change, and I'm going to propose that we have the switch from Wednesdays to Thursdays effective at the start of the new fiscal school year. So it'd be July 2026 was when staff will propose the change from Wednesday to Thursday.
Can I also ask, how many other school boards are meeting on Thursdays here? How many other school boards are meeting on Thursdays rather than Wednesdays?
I don't know. I know some are Mondays, some are Tuesdays. They're kind of all over the map. So it just depends.
So the board agendas would be posted on Monday?
Yeah, our goal would be to still post them Fridays, because we have a habit to try and get that done. But in the event that we couldn't, we could post board agendas on Mondays. That would still be fine. That gives us that extra little bit sometimes.
Additional comments? Okay, we'll see it back for second reading. Thank you. So there'll be no vote. May I have a motion to waive second? Yeah, thank you. So 12G will also come back.
So all of these policies will have to come back on second reading, and that's fine. There's probably a lot of language that needs to be worked out. In fact, I would recommend that for some of them, we bring them back perhaps at the board workshop on policy that's happening.
Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on to 12G. May I have well, we're not moving, we're just moving right into, we're not waiving second reading, so this will just be information only. So if we please have, Dr. Mervin?
Yeah, you can still vote to approve it and bring it back for second reading. You just can't waive second reading. So you could still go through the process, vote to approve. Leave it, it'll come back. So you might not approve it if you want it to come back for a lot of reworking, but you might approve it just to come back on consent with the changes based on the input you're going to give tonight.
So we might need a new motion to approve with the changes suggested and bring back for second reading on consent, right?
So for 12F,
Yes,
you don't have to
12.
because it's okay to give direction. So it's fine either way.
Okay,
So
all right.
we're good. But if we want to keep our practice the same, moving forward, motion approved, but no waiving of second reading.
Correct. We have a motion to move on to reading board policy 5131.8, mobile communication devices.
Second.
Okay. Moved by trustee Zollinger, seconded by trustee Jones. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Merwin.
Thank you, President Davis and trustees. Staff presents item 12G, first reading board policy 5131.8, mobile communication devices. California Assembly Bill 3216, known as the Cell Phone Free Schools Act, directs school districts, county offices of education, and charter schools to develop and adopt policies that limit or prohibit student cell phone use during instructional time. New board policy 5131.8 aligns the district to recent changes in law. To ensure that our policy is effective and can be implemented successfully, our secondary schools have already been piloting cell phone free policies at their sites. during the 24-25 school year and again this school year. Last spring and again in September of this year, staff gathered feedback from students, teachers, administrators, and parents regarding the successes and the challenges of the student cell phone pilot programs, and we have incorporated their feedback into the policy. Executive Director Darren Gindra and I are here to answer any questions you may have. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item? There are none. Okay. Trustees? Trustee Jones?
So I have a lot of comments on this. I have talked to a lot of parents who are extremely passionate about this, and I think there are some parts of it that do not go far enough. The first paragraph says, Board of Trustees recognizes use of smartphones, other communications on campus may be beneficial to student learning and well-being. I don't know a single parent who believes that. I don't think they believe it is beneficial to student learning and well-being. So I'd like to strike that and however such use also, and just say recognizes use of smartphones and other mobile communication devices may be harmful and disruptive to the instructional program. Truly, I mean, I talked to a lot of parents about this. And interestingly, this is something that, unlike many of our issues, does not know sort of political bias. Some of my very most conservative friends and some of my very most liberal friends feel the same way about this. So that's my first one. Then number 3 talks about licensed physician or surgeon, and I went to the Ed Code and read this, and it says, determines that possession or use is necessary for students' health and well-being. But the Ed Code then says, and use of which is limited to purposes related to the health of the student. So I'm not diabetic. I don't know a lot about what diabetic students have, but I know that some of them have glucose monitors that may talk to an app on their phone. I think it's fine if a diabetic student is allowed to use their phone during class to monitor that app or something like that. But I don't think that means that the diabetic student is allowed, or any other student who has a physician's note is allowed to look at social media during class or text their friends or whatever. I think it means that they can use it for the purposes for which the physician or surgeon is giving them a waiver. So I'd like that added, which again, I quoted from Ed Code. After number 4, it says superintendent designee may undertake measures, limit student access to smartphones and other mobile communication devices on campus. And I'd like to add, or again from Ed Code, same Ed Code, or when students are under the supervision and control of an employee or employees of the district. So on field trips, I don't think that unless I think if the teacher says, okay, you know, we're at a museum, you can take pictures with your cell phone of this work of art, that's fine. But I don't think that means that on field trips or some out of the classroom experience, that gives the student the right to be using a cell phone. Then the next paragraph, I just think is confusing because it says, and again, I know this is from Ed Code, but it needs a word here. Because it says, shall not be searched without the consent of the student in possession or the student's parent or guardian, except pursuant to a lawfully issued warrant. And then there's a comma, but there's no or, and we need an or because then it's like we need to make it clear that that's another situation, because if there's a warrant, then yes, you can search, but it also means that it also is if the school official in good faith believes there's an emergency. So if we have an or, it makes it clear that that is another situation. Let's see, do I have anything else on that one? No, guess what? Yay. Lucky us, I am done with that item.
I love it. Thank you. Other comments?
Well, like Trustee Jones, I have a lot of parents inquiring as to, and I know the reason, but I want to publicly have it put out there. Why are we not saying no cell phones on campus all day? So during passing periods and lunch, there's a lot of parents that want to see kids interacting, talking to one another and not on their phones. Can't tell you how many times my husband and I are out to dinner and you're looking at a family and all four of them are on their phones. So could you please explain the rationale as to maybe why we're taking this baby step forward, or we're not including passing periods, lunch, because they will be asking once they see this policy?
So there's two things, and then Darren can tell me if there's more than two things, but there's two things that we've been talking about. One is our schools, so we've taken a different approach, right? So we have to have this policy up and running by June. So we've started working on it 2 years ago, right? And having our schools design approaches to reduce cell phone usage in class. So some of our schools have done very different approaches, right? Like when you walk through Tesoro, it looks different in how they've done it. But it works. There are no cell phones out in class when you're walking through Tesoro, as opposed to Essentia, where they collect them all in one period and the kids get them back at the end of the day. So part of it is the flexibility for schools to continue doing what's been working for them, as they've worked with their students to come up with a plan. The other part of it is you don't really want to make a policy you can't possibly enforce. And there's a point at which we do not have the ability to police 3,000 students at lunch on their cell phones and take them all. It's just not something we can do. We don't have enough staffing, nor will we have enough funding to get enough staffing to chase down students on their cell phones outside of instructional time. And three, for us, is our first priority is to protect instructional time, right? We definitely know that they are a huge distraction in instructional time. Even the kids will tell you they're a huge distraction in instructional time. And so that's our first priority, is to get these cell phones out of the kids' hands and pockets, where they can still cause that dopamine response with the buzzing. They can still cause that distraction, and put them in a place where they're not involved with the student, and then you work from there, right? And so that's one of the other reasons that we're doing it. Darren, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I mean, you said it perfectly, and we also can't forget the high school kids. I'm sorry. Those high school kids are. Should I switch? Okay. The high school kids, they have a calendar. They're working. They have to meet the needs of themselves during passing period to be able to get to work on time and set their calendar. So there is a lot of communication that happens with the high school age kids that need to maintain their calendar as well. And that's feedback from both students and teachers as well.
And one follow-up question that again is being asked. So we're talking about mobile phones. What about this holiday season, when we have a lot more students start getting the watch? That is just an extension, another way to get a buzz on the arm. And are we going to say anything about that? What
Yeah, I mean,
are we going to do?
I'm hoping that the reason we didn't call this a cell phone policy and instead we called it a mobile communication device policy is those are mobile communication devices. So it would count for those, yes. Mm-hmm.
Would also count for glasses?
We'd have to know. I mean, I guess, yes, it would count for the Ray-Ban Metas. Yeah. And that will be a challenge for us. That's where your physician's note comes in and everything else. I mean, there's probably, I mean, look, let's be honest. For the families that want around this policy, there are kids who have multiple phones and they will turn in one phone and not another. I don't think that's the majority, but if a family really wants around this policy, they'll get around this policy. So I mean, we have to be, I think, honest with ourselves, that if, like anything, right, policies and laws work really well for those who respect them.
Piggybacking on some of these comments, implementing a comprehensive bell-to-bell cell phone ban, one that includes breaks, lunch, all non-instructional periods, provide clear academic, social, emotional benefits for students, All research I've done consistently shows that limiting phone use during the entire school day significantly improves focus, mental health, interpersonal connection. A landmark study from the London School of Economics found that schools banning mobile phone use saw a 6.4% increase in test scores on average. What were we, green and then blue? What was the, yeah, I'm in. With the strongest gains among lower achieving students. Nationally, 73% of educators report that phones are a major distraction in class, and 72% believe unrestricted access negatively affects students' mental health. And that's from the Pew Research Center 2024 and NCES 2025. Beyond the classroom, keeping phones away during lunch and breaks obviously is going to help focus on healthier social interactions and reduces social isolation. Without screens, students are more likely to talk, play, connect face-to-face, skills that directly build empathy, confidence, and conflict resolution abilities. Schools that have implemented full-day bans report lower bullying and cyberbullying rates, fewer disciplinary incidents, and improved attendance and school climate. Mental health professionals also note that digital breaks throughout the day reduce anxiety, improve mood stability, help regulate dopamine cycles linked to screen addiction. A consistent district-wide bell-to-bell policy also supports equity and consistency. It removes social pressures tied to phones and social media, levels the playing field for all students, and relieves staff from enforcing inconsistent gray lines. Ultimately, a full-day phone-free environment empowers students to be present learners, engaged friends, and emotionally resilient individuals. And that just allows to ensure schools remain a space centered on growth, connection, and learning from the first bell to the last. So I certainly am in support of this, and I, like you, have talked to hundreds of parents about this on numerous occasions. My liberal friends, my conservative friends, my non-political friends, everyone. And there's I personally haven't spoke with people that are in support of having a phone for their child on campus. What we are in the business of is teaching students and educating students, and the best way to do that is to put these things away and focus on learning.
Hi.
Definitely in support of that.
So I kind of hate to throw this out in the middle of things. I mean, I had thought about these before and talked to some staff members, but what if we were to have an absolute ban for K-5, TK-5, and leave it allowed? Well, I know it's not really where the problem is, but the problem starts there. And if students in K-5 are not used to having their phones, that can help.
I think they already don't have them. At least my kids at Oso Grande couldn't have phones out, so they had to stay in their backpack off during the day.
I know fourth graders that have cell phones.
Well, they have them, but they weren't allowed to. So
Okay,
your
okay.
schools, like they're in their bags. They're just, the school rule was they had to be off and away.
The whole day?
The whole day.
Yeah.
Okay.
They couldn't
In
take them out
Area
at
7,
lunch.
all my elementary
Okay, is that
principals
what
have
we
said,
do now?
there's no phones all day in elementary.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't talked to an elementary parent about
But
this.
as Dr. Brown said, some principals started this on their own.
Right.
So they may have done that. I don't know. Is that a precedence? Is that a rule we've set? But all my Area 7 elementary schools do not allow phones all day, is what I'm told.
Is it a rule we've set? No. Is it how some of the elementaries and Kates have gone? Yes, because it's enforceable and they can set that policy at their school. There's nothing wrong with them doing that. That's totally fine, right? Part of the original proposal was to let schools do that. So if a lot of our K-5 schools and K-8 schools have said no, and they're not getting any pushback from families and kids at that age. I don't disagree with anything that's been said. My concern is putting a policy in place that is unenforceable, without having the ability to say we're going to take 3,000 cell phones away at lunch, and we don't have the staffing for that, and so we can say it, and we could say you can't have it out, but we need to. At what point, when you don't follow up with that, does that not become the reality? That's my only concern with a cell phone ban during passing periods and lunch, and I do think that you'll start to see a little more difference of opinion amongst families for the non-instructional time. In my interaction with students and parents, the instructional time, I agree 100% even students are generally like, yeah, get this thing out of my hand. But parents not being able to contact their kids at lunch is a very different thing. So I don't know. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah.
Swanson?
So I think that, I think my freshman year, this wasn't really going on yet, the phones being taken away, but maybe even my sophomore year and definitely last year, junior year, we've been having this. And I think it's probably made a big difference in instructional time. And I think it's great for students to be talking to each other more. And I overwhelmingly fully agree with this. There's one thing I just have one tiny thought on. And it's the part it says, however, a student shall not be prohibited from possessing or using a mobile communication device under any of the following circumstances. And it's number 1, in the case of an emergency or in response to a perceived threat of danger. And the only reason I saw that and was thinking of this, is my freshman year when we did have our phones, we had a little incident at San Juan where we had an unidentified person on campus. No one knew what was going on. And we were all glad we still had our phones and we were able to contact our parents and stuff and just let them know what was going on. I know that's a super rare situation. And I think that under the policy at San Juan, where we have our phones in the little charts, at least for most classes, I think that is still fully works, and that in a case of emergency, we could totally access that just to contact any people we might need to. However, with the locking them up at the beginning of the day and who knows what class and then getting them back at the end of the day at some schools, I'm not sure if that aligns so well with that. In a case of emergency, you don't know what class they're going to be in when something happens. And again, I know those things are rare, and in the end, the benefits might outweigh the costs if we take it all, take the phones from students, period through passing period and everything. But I just wanted to throw that thought out there that was something I did experience, and it was positive to have that in that one time. So just wanted to say that.
I appreciate that. And then the other thought on that is when there is, because it does happen, when there is a major emergency or a perceived major emergency, as we are trying to get information out to families, students are getting information out to families faster than the speed of light. And it's very conflicting information. And then that causes quite a bit of chaos as well. So there's a bit of that makes me a little bit nervous about that. So for sure we will get information out to families the second we have proper real information and not what we think and what students might think. So it does cause a little bit of a chaos, really, actually. And I do think that for any non-emergency, but in an emergency in one particular student's, they can go to the office and they can call their family. And that's the same thing that everyone on this board, except our student board member, our families were contacted if there was ever an emergency because there were no phones, right? So I do think and do know that we have proper staffing to be able to help with that in any kind of an individual emergency. And collectively on a school site, we will get the information out as soon as we have proper information. So sometimes it takes 3 minutes for Ryan Burst to get all the information so then it can properly be sent out. So it's verified and accurate. So that becomes a little tricky as well.
I would just also add, we just spent $1.6 million to have these emergency. That's what it's supposed to be for in an emergency. I've had too many times in my career where students have contacted their parents and then they've rushed to the school, and now they've got parents, demanding to get in to save their kid, and that only adds confusion as they're trying to identify the person who might be on campus or whatever. So it's challenging for sure.
Trustees, may I also just add that all of our 95% of our middle schools are bell to bell, no cell. So the middle schoolers, the middle school grades are used to, just like the elementary, phone goes in the backpack, does not come out until the end of the day.
And I would assume that that's the same for elementary, 95%
Yes.
or
So
plus,
it's really-
95 plus.
It's
So,
really K-8.
so I think as
that
moving
it's-
forward, if we did a bell to bell, it may take a few years to get that tight. But all of our K through 8, they're already programmed for that. So moving forward, the next 4 years might be a little bit much to get that tight. But again, I'm just coming back to, we are in the business of educating students. And the best way to educate students, all data shows, is to have it no phones, bell to bell. Other comments?
I guess I'll say something. I know because when some of these ideas have floated around before, people have said, people surprised me, felt like it was a violation, that they didn't have that communication. It was just, with their student, it was a safety issue. The bell-to-bell idea, if we modeled it after what the elementary and middle schools are doing, I think would be fantastic. Because the kids still have it in their backpack. If there was some catastrophic emergency, they would be able to pull their phones out and call. So maybe that would relieve some of the stress for some of these parents, but I think we've all had experiences talking with kids and high school kids and other ages as well, where, I mean, I know for my own family, when my kids have lost their phones, when I've taken them away, they didn't lose them, I took them away. I remember my daughter freshman year came to me a week into it and said, I actually feel much better without my phone, and I'm not gonna get back on social media. And it was powerful that she would admit that. I don't know if some of my other kids would, but, it was a powerful lesson for her. So I think it is really great to have less screen time, 100%. I think we are gonna have some struggle with some parents that feel like we're taking things away, but I like the idea of them being able to keep it in their bag, off. And I totally support that.
Trustee Jones?
I just want to remark that I don't think there were probably more than a half dozen or dozen cell phones in any high school on September 11th, 2001, and somehow we all muddled through.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this is direction, right? We're sharing direction to staff at this point. And I think there's a bit more work that needs to be done on it, and
It has to come back.
for sure, obviously it's coming back.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we started this in October, right? We don't have to have this in place until June. So we are getting work done on the schools, and we're starting on the policy well ahead so that we're not sitting up against a deadline having these discussions. So staff will take direction. Staff will take some of this part of this conversation. We'll add some language to it, and it'll be back.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I haven't decided.
And we're moving on to 12H. Have a motion to waive we're not waiving second reading, to approve first reading of Board Bylaws 9323, meeting conduct.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Adams, seconded by Trustee Zollinger. I'd like to recognize Superintendent Chris Brown to present the item.
All right, continuing on with board bylaw changes. There's a lot of language changes in this, and I'm sure we'll have a discussion about the Roberts rules, and so that is totally fine. A few things, we are beholden to the Brown Act, so we must abide by the Brown Act. Roberts Rules is a guide, and in the former policy it said Roberts Rules is a guide. Roberts Rules will remain a guide, and in fact, you've all been given an email recently from me for an updated board training on Roberts Rules. So Roberts Rules isn't going anywhere in terms of the way we do stuff, but it's our operating procedure. It's not a policy necessarily item that you would say we are bound by Roberts Rules as our parliamentarian procedures. And in fact, in the original language, it didn't say that either. It said it would be used as a guide. The bigger change that I think is critical is the change to oral communication. Oral communication would remain at 20 minutes, so remember, oral communication is for the non-agenda items. Our practice has been to have students who are here from CUSD speak at oral communications first. And sometimes that meant students spoke the entire time for oral communications on multiple occasions. So this change would still allow students to speak first for the 20 minutes of oral communications, but up to a 10-minute limit. So students could speak for the first 10 minutes if they were here, and then the remainder of the 10 minutes would go, same as it always has, first come, first serve, to the adults or the citizens and residents in the room, just so that we don't end up with that situation again where we have students being used and filling out the entire 20 minutes, right? And then other than that, the policy would not change in terms of oral communication. So it's just to make that tweak. That's the big change. Some of the rest of it's just language changes to clean some stuff up on the difference between oral communication and public comment. So remember, public comment for agenda items still happens, as we will hear, I think, momentarily, on these items. Follow the same policy as it always has. Again, students first, but up to a limit of the 10 minutes, so that again you have the balance of voices in the room when people have come to speak for those things. So that's the core change. The rest of it's language change. We can discuss all of it. Staff recommends approval later on a second reading.
Mrs. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have one speaker card request, Samuel Penrod. But we have two. Thank you. And following Samuel will be Lisa Myers. Go ahead, Sam.
Hi. I'm still confused and concerned about the proposal to eliminate Robert's Rules of Order from the policy. So I'm lost after what you said, Dr. Brown. Those rules aren't just a formality. They are a national gold standard to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness. So if you abandon them, you risk concealing decision-making and consolidating power in a board majority, silencing minority voices, eroding trust with district taxpayers and parents. And what are you proposing for a replacement? I guess maybe you're not replacing them now. I don't know. I'm confused. But if you are, that wasn't in the change. I'm also troubled about the proposal to limit public comment to just 20 minutes. So that restriction could unfairly exclude parents, teachers, and taxpayers from being heard, and may constitute a violation of the Brown Act, just like you said. It could. And so the Brown Act guarantees public participation. So I would ask that you reconsider these changes, because accountability and open participation are not optional. They are foundational for lawful governance. So that's it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lisa Myers.
I'm going to follow up with similar concerns about this. First off, the board majority ran on a platform of parents' rights. How is limiting the number and time for public comment supporting parents' rights? Because when I read this document today, it said that you were limiting it to just 10 speakers. If there were 10 students, there were 10 speakers. And then anybody who wanted to speak after that could turn in a written document to the superintendent, and it would be CC'd to the trustees. Secondly, as I stated earlier, 2 trustees attended the Student Turning Point meeting last month. The founder of that organization was strongly in favor of free speech. And if the majority trustees hold him in such great reverence, this is a direct contradiction to that. Limiting board open comments is against parents' rights and against free speech. 2 things that I apparently mistakenly thought that the board majority was in favor of. Thank you.
Okay, trustees? Trustee Bolkus?
Does staff or Dr. Brown want to address the business meeting portion and open comments and the timing?
Yeah, so
I just want to say, we just talked earlier about starting the meeting earlier, so we're more cognitively not making late night decisions at 11 p.m. And so longer oral communications at the beginning tends to cause that, but you can explain it.
yeah, so 2 things, I guess. This does not make a change to the timing of oral communications. It has been 20 minutes. It will remain at 20 minutes. It is not a shortening of that time. And remember, that's 20 minutes for non-agenda items. So there still could be, depending on the agenda, hours of public commentary. It falls well within the bounds of the Brown Act and has been vetted for that. because it was 20 minutes for non-agenda items. Then each agenda item has time as well, as long as it's aligned to the agenda item. As far as the Robert's Rules of Order, we do use and will continue to use Robert's Rules of Order. I'm totally fine with leaving it in the policy. Staff does not have a strong feeling about pulling it out of the policy, so we can leave the Robert's Rules of Order language in the policy. The original policy said that Robert's Rules of Order shall be used as a guide to enable orderly conduct of meetings, and it will be. And so we can leave that language in. Yeah, the oral communication remains at 20 minutes. Like I said, the big change is the students being 10 minutes of that 20. If there's no one beyond that, if there's 13 students and no one else, then there'd be students. But if there's adults also waiting, they would fill out the 20 minutes.
I have a ticky-tacky question on that. So we got to a point where we defined that for encouraging people to come and to attend our board meetings, they don't have to sign in. They can come in and sit and listen. If they want to speak, we do ask for their name and, what did it say? The area that they're from, or we don't, or the city. We don't ask,
We ask their name and address. They do not have to provide it.
Okay, so if we're saying that CUSD students have the priority, are we stipulating in there that they must bring their ID, or how do we verify that?
Their IDs.
We ask for their IDs when we check. We can stipulate it and we can add it as language, but we do ask for their IDs to verify that they are CUSD students.
Trustee Jones?
So I would like to see the Robert's Rules of Order included. I think that the Brown Act doesn't cover all of the situations that sometimes come up. I'll just really briefly talk about if I were to vote for something and it got 4 votes, but later on I think, you know what, I really am not so sure about that. I can ask for a reconsideration. And that's part of Robert's Rules. That is not part of our normal procedure. So I think Robert's Rules deals with a lot of smaller issues that are important for boards to be governed by. So I'd like to see that back. Anyway, I think we're done with that. Okay. On the first page of it's the second page of this new policy, there's 1, A, B, C, D, and then down in E, it talks about if a board member makes a motion to extend the time, it shall require a unanimous vote of the board members present. I think we need to say, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think it needs to be members present, because if we just say the members of the board, and maybe there's only 5 of us here, I think we need it to be board members present. And then number 2 talks about how the commenters shall comment as briefly as the subject permits. Well, depends on who you're talking about, but some people might think the subject permits something much longer. I think it needs to say within the allotted time. And then it's the same thing in a later item. And Mrs. Hayes, I think, knows this, but on page 4, 2, again, it says within the allotted time. Then right at the end, the last, second to the last paragraph, or third to the last, meeting attendees may bring signs, but who bring signs may display them outside the building. And I'd like to add, but may not attach signs or notices to the building. We've had problems with this, and it damages the building, and I think that that's not appropriate. So I would like to make those suggestions.
To that end, it might be a thought to the groups that gather, if we maybe have it on the other side of the fence, like pass as you come in, rather than here where we have people banging on the windows and holding signs. Maybe we have groups gather on the other side of the fence, so as not to.
How that would be policy.
I don't know if that could be policy. I don't know.
I don't care so much about that. I just don't want them attaching things to the building, but whatever, if others feel differently.
No, I agree. I think it's best to not, keep the damages down.
Oh, and I also wanted to just briefly address the comments that, not allowing speech, but a lot of the limitations that we presently have, they're not changing, have to do with public comment time. And those are not board business, and when people want to say something about things that they can say in public comment or about agenda items, I appreciate an email. I have more time to think about what you say in an email than I do in public comment. I mean, it kind of comes at you sort of fast. Some of them are very short, and I would rather receive emails. So and there's no limit to the number of emails you can send or how long they can be.
Thank you. Other comments?
On the adjournment? So,
We only extend the time.
yeah, you're only extending it one time, because I've been in a number of board meetings where that,
It's 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times at least.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, unless you say it's gonna be for the next 4 hours or something like that, that's what you'd have to do. But, and once again, that'd be training for board members who are, like right now, somebody should extend the meeting if we were under the new rules.
Yeah, the switch to 10, I think, was preemptive. The 11 is all based on a 7 PM start. The 10 would be based on if we get to it, well, now, we're getting to a 6 PM start. So once we get to the 6, that's where the 10 will take effect. But yeah, you would get to 10. Now, it has been, we get to 11, which we haven't done in a while, but when we get to 11, we do have to vote to extend the board meeting. So yeah, we don't necessarily want to get to 3 AM and continue to extend board meetings. I don't think that's good for the board, the staff, or the public. Yeah.
1 hour.
Yes. So maybe in
Yes.
policy, we should put that, like, some language in there saying, yeah, yep. So extended back at times to be determined by. the
Right.
president.
No, I agree. And
Yep.
I don't know that I don't think the policy should say that it should not be no more than once. I mean, there may be a time that we might need to extend it.
You're extending it once. You'll
Well,
just, the
we-
policy
but we-
should say that.
But it's only
as to an
extending it
amount.
20 minutes, right?
No.
Or 30 minutes.
No, we can put to a amount of time as determined by the president or board.
Every 30 minutes we had to extend
But that's not
it.
what the policy says.
We were meeting at 2 in the morning during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like this, no, I can't think anymore.
No, but the policy.
But traditionally, what we've done at 11 o'clock is extend for half an hour. Then we extend another half hour, then another
Exactly.
half hour. And that drives me crazy. Like,
Right.
let's just extend for 2 hours.
Yeah, so we'll put some language in there that says, to be extended by a time to be determined by the president and the board at that moment, right? So that the policy gives you leeway to say, we're gonna extend for 30 minutes and we're done, or we're gonna extend for 90 minutes and we're done.
Or extend it.
Yes, you can waive.
You can always
You
waive
can
the
waive
policy.
any policy.
can always
With a
waive the
unanimous vote of the board members present, you can waive
Yeah,
any
covers
board
it.
policy.
Covers it.
93.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, staff, I think we've got plenty of direction on that. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Or,
Either way is fine.
okay, we'll continue with the same. All those in favor?
Just
Just sharing the,
It's coming back.
it's coming
It's
back.
coming back. Okay, thank you. Aye.
Consistent.
It's coming back.
I was the only one that
Direction
voted.
to bring back on
Wait,
consent.
I don't know what we're voting on.
We've given direction to staff. We'll keep it at that.
We will
Thank you.
record it as the board has given direction to staff to update the policy and it will come back.
So
Thank
we
you.
don't need to vote.
We have a motion to approve, waive second read, well, we're not on, we're moving on to, let's talk about board policy 4212-42, formerly 4219-1, drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers.
So this one, I would propose that you actually do make a motion and that you don't waive second reading, but when you do approve, if you do approve, that you approve it to come back on consent.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Trustee Zollinger, seconded by trustee Bullicus. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Bob Presby to present the item.
Thank you, President Davis and trustees. Staff presents item 12I, a first reading of the revisions to board policy 42119.1, drug and alcohol testing for employees in safety-sensitive positions.
Can One golden microphone tonight.
Thank you. These revisions change the title of the policy to Drug and Alcohol Testing for School Bus Drivers and renumbered the board policy to 4212.42, which is more accurate to the nature of the policy and the corresponding administrative regulation. These updates include the requirements for school bus drivers from several agencies that monitor compliance, testing, and reporting procedures. Executive Director Christina Giguere is with me tonight to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item? There are none. Okay, trustee discussion. Trustee Jones.
So I'm concerned about any employee who holds a commercial driver's license. I have heard that Dr. Stewart has a party limo business and is a commercial driver. Not really.
Like what?
He gives me a hard time. I'm giving it back. So really? But my point is that we have people who have been school bus drivers who are now in management. And so they probably still have their commercial licenses. So this policy shouldn't affect them. So I don't think we should refer to any employee who holds a commercial driver's license. I think we should refer to our bus drivers. So I just, keep it consistent. Otherwise, it's like, does this apply to anybody who has a commercial driver's license? It does right now. So we should take that out.
It should say who uses their license for, so we'll work on that. It's gonna come back. Any other comments? We'll make updates to that. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All those yes, we're gonna go ahead and all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 601 to come back to the board on consent.
Yeah, that one will come back on consent. And I would ask that you do the same for the next one up, right?
Okay.
So you can't waive second reading, but you're going to vote on it and have it come back on consent.
12J, may I have a motion to discuss and bring back on consent Board Policy 4161.1, 4261.9, 4361.9, Catastrophic Leave Program.
So moved. Second.
By Trustee Bollicus, seconded by Trustee Jones. I'd like to recognize Dr. Bob Presby to present this item.
Thank you, President Davis and trustees. Staff presents item 12J, a first reading of revisions to board policy 4161.9, 4261.9, and 4361.9, catastrophic leave program. These revisions add the requirement to include a qualifying event of an illness or injury to a family member or a proclaimed state of emergency. Human Resource Service staff is here to answer any questions, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. And Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item? Thank you. Okay, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries 601 to come back on second reading. I'm going to move to consent calendar. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We have one.
Thank you.
Linda Haddock. On consent, para MOU regarding bus aids.
Bus aid, we're all scrambling to get people to do the bus aid. And one of the things we had originally, when it became not a separate item, but something that was included in your pay, it was an 8-hour position. And it was changed to either, depending on how long you're on the bus, to a 7-hour, 7.5, or 8-hour. But don't take into account the pain and suffering of not having your car with you. For instance, my son has special needs. He graduated from ATP. He works at Saddleback College, and he was stuck there till I could get off of work and get over there because the Uber driver couldn't find him. There was construction or whatever, so he had to wait. He literally had to wait. He got off at like 12:15. He had to wait till I could get there at 3:30. So I understand to make things equitable as far as maybe making their pay 7, 7.5, or 8, but treat them as a 40-hour employee so that they get the benefits of the health, reduction in health benefits and all that. I know it's been approved, been worked on, but it's just something maybe to consider for another iteration of this thing, because there is a lot of pain and suffering not having your car there, especially if there's an emergency with a family member. You're stuck there. You really can't go anywhere. I'm sure if there was like a catastrophe, a death or whatever, somebody might come in, but you're stuck. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. And I also wanted to thank, actually, Trustee Bulkus for having the courage to admit that you've done something that is not nice or appropriate at all. Would have been better if sooner, but hey, at least you did it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any trustees that have consent items they'd like to pull? There being none, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Moved by trustee Adams. Seconded trustee Bulkus. Mrs. Hayes, please call the roll.
Trustee Pritchard.
Aye.
Trustee Zollinger.
Aye.
Trustee Adams.
Aye.
Trustee Jones. Trustee Bulkus.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye. Motion carries 601 to approve the consent calendar. And may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
trustee Bulkus, seconded by trustee Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, or any opposed? Motion carries 601 to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 10:02 p.m. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.